Intermountain Health Performance Center, the Las Vegas Raiders just moments away from officially announcing their head coach, Klint Kubiak. He'll be taking the podium as a new era has come to Raider Nation, and all the fans are out here to support the announcement. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Amber Theo Harris, along with my partners from Game Day. Of course, we got to do some off-season press conferences. Here is James Jones, Eric Allen, the Hall of Famer. And I'll tell you, what exciting moment for the Raiders. They are about to announce a man who just won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, and we all watched that offense. We saw what they did to the New England Patriots. He was the architect of that offense, and now he brings his expertise and experience to the Raiders. And when you heard this, Eric, about the announcement that Klint Kubiak would be the next head coach, did you like the hire?
I was excited. He was my guy. I thought that offensively he's done a great job, been around some great trees, great programs, have done a great job with this offense, being able to utilize the running game, which we know we can do here in Las Vegas. And again, you're talking about a guy who can develop quarterbacks. And I think that's the one key issue that we have to be able to solve to be able to be the football team that is in these exciting games at the end of the season. So I'm really excited about Coach Kubiak and what he can do with our young football team.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Number one, you look at the Seattle Seahawks. They built like us.
Yeah.
You got a big-time pass catcher. We got Brock Bowers. You got a good running back in the backfield. We got Genty. Build up that offensive line. You're going to get your quarterback in the building. I absolutely love the hire because they are built like us. And what he did, having a top 10 offense this year with the Seattle Seahawks, with a lot of the same tools that we kind of have here at the Las Vegas Raiders, I love it. I think this offense is going to be very, very, very good. It's going to be very interesting to see him put this staff together, but I'm excited about it.
As we see there, a lot of experience, 12 years coaching, and at each of those stops, I like that he went a lot of different places because you learn something different or new working under different coordinators, working with different head coaches, and you pick off a little bit of what works at each place. I want to go back to what James said. When you were watching the Super Bowl, we saw Kenneth Walker III become the MVP of the Super Bowl. That was a running back. That doesn't happen very often. What does that say about the type of offense that he likes to run and what that could mean for Ashton Genty, who's just in his second year here in Las Vegas?
I think it's going to be huge because if you watch them, especially early in the season, it was a two-back system. You know, and once the back got hurt, then Kenneth Walker started getting a lot of the carries. But he wants to start with the run game. Don't put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Start with the run game, and then let's play action pass down the field. So I absolutely love it. It is going to be a number 2 back coming in here to be behind Genty, and they're going to run this ball and get this offensive line ready to go. So I love it. And then you play action pass, and we already know who 89 is out there making some plays. So it should be good.
Yeah, for sure. I think also with that is to add to the running game, it's always ability to be able to utilize the 2 tight end set too. So now you can get to some packages where you can utilize Big Mike along with Brock Bowers, but really focus on that running game, which is going to be incredibly important for our team to be successful.
Here's a little nugget with that 12 personnel. Everybody talks about how useful it can be with the Raiders, but with the Seahawks last year, they didn't run it a lot, right? They were 14th most in the NFL as far as running 12 personnel. When they did, according to PFF, they were the most effective team to do it. So when he did have 2 tight ends on the field, it was very productive, and I think that bodes well for Michael Mayer.
And Seattle didn't have 2 good ones like we do.
Exactly.
Not as good as that. No, not at all. All right, to talk more about it, let's bring in our partner, JT the Brick. Look, he's walking in like it's a pageant. Yeah, he's going to put a tiara on his head. JT, man, fresh off the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Good to see you again, my friend. How are you?
Great to be here with the A-Team. I'm excited for today. Today is a new day in the Raider Nation. I'm just proud to host the radio show from here today and be with you and the legends.
You've seen, you've been with this organization for so many years. What is it, 30 years, 29?
Going on 29.
Going on 29 years. You've seen things that work. You see things that don't work. When you heard that Klint Kubiak was getting hired as the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, what did you feel in your heart is going to work that he does?
What I feel is this was the guy they wanted a month ago. And there was a process that they had to follow protocol, but everybody knew, Amber, that this was the number 1 coach available who has a coaching tree from his dad to the legacy going back to John Elway to all the great people he's been around. So a lot of times you kind of pick a coach and you get one of the coaches maybe that you didn't think would be there or would be second or third. This Raider Nation is the number 1 pick. And everybody in this entire Raider Nation should be really behind this pick. everyone needs to line up in Raider Nation and really support this.
I love it.
Yeah.
And speaking of the number one overall pick, if the Raiders do decide to stay and pick at that, remember there's an option to not pick there. They could always trade down and get a haul. But assuming they stay there, I think it's understood that it would probably be Fernando Mendoza, right?
Yep.
So what does an offensive-minded head coach do for a young quarterback, JJ? You've been on teams where you've seen a rookie quarterback come in. How important is it to have not just a good offensive coordinator, but a head coach that gets it?
Oh, my goodness. That's the biggest thing, because the head coach is going to protect the young quarterback. But beyond the head coach, if you are getting Mendoza, you better bring some offensive line with Mendoza.
Yes.
Yeah.
To protect him. Because if he's protected, he is going to play good football under Klint. He is. But if he's not protected, we're going to have a problem. So as an offensive coordinator, number one, you got to get him started. And he is going to understand that. So if that is the pick, some offensive linemen will come with him, and we'll be able to protect him, and he'll be able to get the ball out.
Offensive linemen just come with him? They just show up?
Fernando
That would be awesome.
Mendoza. Then the next is going to be a bunch of names we don't know, and they're going to be 330 pounds. We gonna know.
Like security guards.
Hey, right? Just right behind him. Like,
on
oh,
with
this is my tackle. I brought him with
Come on with
me.
it.
And JT, we forget that not only do the Raiders have a bunch of draft picks this year, they can fill those spots with the draft. They have got the second most amount of cap space in the NFL with $90 million. Is that a great place to spend some of that money, is on the offensive line, where you bring in some offensive linemen that actually have experience?
Yeah, I think you have to. And with all the money that's available here, and John Spytek understands that, I think it's imperative to get 2 offensive linemen in free agency and then get a high draft pick. And then EA and I were talking about, then you look at the guys who are still here who are going to compete to stay on the team with this new coach, let alone be swing backups. Then the Raiders can go from an offensive line that really struggled, Amber, to one of the better ones. But they have to nail free agency. I think we all know it wasn't a secret to a lot of people about this head coach. We had to wait, but I don't think it's a secret to Raider Nation that we got to get out of free agency, not the draft, with some really established offensive linemen.
We see how quickly, if you look around the NFL this year, one thing you notice is how quickly a roster can be overturned, and how quickly a team, look at the Patriots. They went from worst to first, not just first place, to the Super Bowl. And when you speak of offensive linemen and free agency, I think of a team like the Chicago Bears, right? They completely revamped their offensive line in front of their young quarterback, Caleb Williams, and we saw what a magical season a team like the Bears had. EA, when you look at what Mike Vrabel did with the Patriots, he brought 30 new players in.
Yeah.
53-man roster, 30 new players, and that is up to the scouting department. That takes a lot of work. What did you learn from watching that New England team that could work here in Las Vegas?
Exactly. Young quarterback, totally new type of football team that came in. I think one thing is important is that message has to resonate if you have that many players. That means that your guys who are in charge up front, the player personnel people, the head coach, the position coaches, they all have to have the same message. That's the only way you can bring in that type of new players, new blood, and be able to be successful. And one thing about the Raiders organization that I think all Raider fans understand is when we're good, it's about the offensive line. Yeah. Whether that's the 70s, the 80s, or the 2000s, you have to have an offensive line that it doesn't matter what kind of system you're running. They're the kind of dudes who are going to be able to line up and get a first down on 3rd and short, on 4th and short, be able to just move their defensive line and make some things happen.
Amber just nailed that. The blueprint is the Chicago Bears. They went out and got those offensive linemen in free agency. Then they drafted well. What Vrabel did was he got all of these draft picks to play, James. They all came in, and many of them were starters. And then you look what they were able to do with Christian Gonzalez, who was available for the Raiders back in the day. They didn't get him. That's the type of draft you have to land. And I think the Raiders, I'm a big believer in using some of those back-end draft picks to trade up and get that player you wanted, like Michael Mayer a few years ago, moving up.
Right.
But I think the offensive line is going to be great. And I know Raider Nation's excited about this. If it's Mendoza with Bowers and Genty, that's a beautiful thing.
That is.
I mean, go 4 wide, spread this out.
Raider Nation likes it.
Just think of Genty and the ability, because he got hit a lot behind the line of scrimmage last year.
We saw it.
That will never happen again. He will never in his career have the adversity that he had his rookie year. And look what he did, breaking the Raiders' rookie all-purpose rushing yards
Right.
with catches. All of that happened, and he was getting hammered behind the line of scrimmage.
Great point.
He's going to have a vastly improved offensive line. Then they'll be able to work play action. And I'm excited for Brock Bowers. I'm always
Yeah.
excited for Bowers. But with this play caller and what he was able to do with Seattle to put the tight end in the slot, put him in motion, to line him up wide, we've been hearing about lining him up in the backfield. All the things that we talked about with Bowers when he came into the league, let's see it with Klint Kubiak.
Yeah, not only
sure.
that, though, the most important piece is that quarterback. When you watch Caleb Williams this year, he played out of his mind.
He did.
When you watch Drake May this year, he played out of his mind. He was in the MVP race. When you watch Sam Darnold this year, he played some really good football. So the offensive line is key, but we have to get that quarterback in here, too, that can play some good football, because that was the big reason to why these organizations, Patriots in the Super Bowl, and why it was able to get changed around, because of the quarterback play. But you said we got $90 million?
90 minutes. Start stretching out, JJ. He's got one in him.
Look at that.
Yeah. He's got
Ready to go.
he's got one go route left in him. It's going to be a big one. I'll tell you that.
90
It's gonna
mil,
come at
maybe.
the right time.
90 mil, maybe two.
All right, JT the Brick. Thanks so much for
Always.
joining
Thanks so
us.
much. Big day today.
Big
And
day.
thanks to the Raider Nation
Raider
for coming
Nation,
out.
Thank
this
you
is
so
fantastic.
much for being
Thank
here.
you.
JT will catch all your Raider Nation radio. We'll check you out and listen to all the coverage. All right, let's bring in, speaking of Raider
Look at
Nation
him.
radio.
We got another one.
One more with the loudest one. Ready? One more. Yeah, that's how you
Kirk
do it right there.
Kirk Morrison.
What is happening?
All right.
Color analyst for Raider Nation Radio. Long time no see, Kirk. We just spent the whole Super Bowl together.
All right,
And
right.
Kirk,
We're
you know
here,
what?
we're here.
I thought of something that you and I noticed. We did the sidelines for the Pro Bowl together.
Did.
And you and I were standing together when we saw James Cook. Do you remember the move we saw James Cook make?
Yeah, James Cook and Bijan Robinson.
Right?
Yeah.
Couple moves. And all I could think about was our guy James Jones saying,
Oh, I got moves like that?
No.
You do,
No.
but
You maybe still. We'll see. But I was thinking of you saying, I want to see Ashton Genty miss in a phone booth, like that move. That's what we saw from James Cook and Bijan Robinson. And you had a great point, and we're talking about the offensive line and beefing it up. You said he never had the opportunity to do that because he wasn't getting to the second level.
Yeah,
And JT the Brick was talking about that. When we see those other Pro Bowl type of running backs, do you feel like Ashton Genty just needs to have that opportunity with that line in front of him? Because he has that.
I think he needs not only the offensive line, but just the growth of a running back in his rookie year. Very rarely do we see running backs that come in right away and have an impact on the football team like we expect, right? He was drafted 6th overall. We expected him to be, Barry Sanders off the bat. It just doesn't happen that way. So what I think this offseason will be is an understanding of what I need to do to be even better at my position.
Yeah.
I know offensive line is going to help, but I think us as players, each year you just figure things out. I remember I tell people all the time, for me, the game truly didn't slow down until year 3 for me, where I knew what the call was going to be in the huddle. I knew what down and distance. I knew what the objective was for each and every play. And I think for Ashton Genty, it'll be the same thing. He'll understand the why. Sometimes it's okay to get a dirty 2 yards, okay?
Yeah.
Because that dirty 2 in the first and second quarter turns into a explosive, 15 and 20-yard run in the second half. And I think he'll pick and choose his spots, but he'll learn, I think, in year 2 about how to get to that second level a little bit better.
Going back to the quarterback situation, EA, when you look at Klint Kubiak's resume, and we're getting ready to hear from him in just a few minutes. He's going to take the podium at 11 a.m. as he's going to be announced as the Raiders' next head coach. By the way, I love that he announced it at the Super Bowl.
I know.
I love that. That was pretty
I'm
cool.
going to the
Yeah,
Raiders.
he put it out there. He is proud about it. But we saw what Sam Darnold did under him. Now, granted, Sam Darnold had a good year with the Vikings the year before, but took another step under Klint Kubiak. We've seen Brock Purdy, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, all put up great numbers with Klint Kubiak. What do you think is going to be the biggest transition for a guy that's used to working hands-on as either a passing game coordinator, working directly with quarterbacks, but now he's a head coach? How does he kind of let that go but still have an influence? Because he has to oversee the whole organization.
Yeah, I think Coach has to figure out how he sees the game, right? And what his special power is being able to develop these young quarterbacks, get them in, kind of make them understand what he is trying to get each and every down out of these quarterbacks. And I think that's something that he needs to stick with and stay with. The other things, game management, those are the things that we're talking about that he's going to have to get caught up with. But I think his involvement with the quarterback is going to be the same, Amber. I don't think he's going to change that. I think he shouldn't change that. That's what kind of makes him special and unique as a head coach, is his relationship and the way he speaks to his quarterback. I think it's a calming voice. It's not something that's over the top, things that I hear. And you're right, the success he's had with multiple quarterbacks are something that whatever quarterback ends up here as our starting quarterback is going to be really in a great situation because of his success in the past.
Oh, yeah, and I truly believe he's here because of that.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I said his staff. Like, I was around Mike McCarthy, who was a heck of an offensive mind. When you watch Andy Reid, they don't play around with the defense. They get really good defensive coordinators, really good defensive mind.
Yeah.
That's y'all side of the building. I got this side of the building, and I'm going to make sure that the quarterback is ready to go, this offense is ready to go, but you are going to see whatever quarterback comes in this building, you're going to see some good quarterback play.
Yeah.
I like what JJ's saying too, but I think also for Klint Kubiak, I think about the influence that he's had on some of the great players in the league too over his last couple years, his last couple stops. You think about it this year, we've seen Jackson Smith-Njigba be the offensive player of the year in the National Football League. You know, last year when he was in New Orleans, or the previous year when he was in New Orleans, you see Chris Olave and what he's been able to do in his career. Oh, by the way, he was in Minnesota in the beginning stages for that Justin Jefferson. So think about the prominent players that he's been around. And, he was the offensive coordinator for Christian McCaffrey as well in San Francisco. So he's been around big-time players. And so I keep envisioning Brock Bowers going into year 3 in his system. And we saw A.J. Barner, the tight end for Seattle, his big touchdown. I thought it was Brock Bowers. I was envisioning it was Brock Bowers in that Super Bowl 60. Like, that's Brock Bowers, our quarterback, throwing to him for a touchdown. That's what I was envisioning. I think he's going to bring that too and get that out of our quarterback as well.
All right, let's take a live look. We're getting ready for the announcement. You have some players in there, some coaches, a lot of members of the Raiders staff excited to hear Klint Kubiak announced in just a few minutes. He'll be taking the podium, his first time ever as a head coach, but one heck of a resume, 12 years as a coach. He's been through a lot of different teams where they had a lot of success at the teams that he's been through, whether it was the 49ers coming off of a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. But Kirk and EA, my defensive guys up here, we keep talking about the offense. We keep talking about him being offensive-minded. He's the head coach. He's responsible for the defense. He's responsible for special teams. And now the next step after today is to fill out a coaching staff. I'll start with you, Kirk. Where do you see him going? What direction with a defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think obviously the system that he just came from with Mike McDonald, in Seattle. That's a system that he had to go up against at practice, and you see how effective it was in Super Bowl 60 and even just throughout the year this season. I think that's something that he can lean on. Remember, he does come from the Mike Zimmer tree as well. So Mike Zimmer has been an influence in his coaching career as well. That's the double A-gap mug. So if you want to start getting technical, that's some blitzing guys up in the middle, having guys on the outside who can cover. So he's going to have multiple, I think, looks at it when it comes to defensive coordinator. And I'll go back to something a coach once told me. Head coaches or offensive play callers, they usually pick a defensive coordinator that's given them problems in the past. Coaches that have really made it tough or difficult for their offense. So I think that's where we're probably going to see the defense be led by someone who's probably given him problems either in practice or around the league.
Yeah, so that says multiple fronts, right?
Yes.
Philosophy is more man-to-man principle, but they do a great job. Seattle was one of the most incredible performances in the Super Bowl that we've seen because of their ability to be able to get after the quarterback with 4 and bring in that strong safety late at cornerback to give some speed as you're rushing. So the multiple looks they were able to give at the Super Bowl was incredible. So you think about someone like that who's smart, intelligent, is able to kind of get in at halftime and change your scheme up a little bit. So I'm expecting our defensive coordinator for this year to be someone who's varied and multiple in their aspect of football.
Yeah, I almost felt bad for Will Campbell at one point. during that game.
All of them.
I just wanted to be like, it's going to be okay. You got a bright future, son. Just hang in there.
Still feel bad.
But that Seattle front was pretty tough.
Yeah.
EA, there's no doubt that as we look at the money to spend in free agency, the draft, the secondary needs some help here.
Yeah.
The secondary needs some help here with the Raiders. How do you see them filling out, especially a position like corner, where you also need to develop them? Like, what is the key to developing a talented young corner in this league?
Well, again, it's about where you played and your physical skill set, and then can you overcome some of those deficiencies when you get to the league? And that's kind of really, I think, drafting a guy and being able to develop that guy through the draft is incredibly important. So then you kind of have some clay, and you're able to work with them and bring him into your system, whatever that system is. So you know the 40 time, the vertical, all those kind of things are there, but you need to figure out if he can get into a system and be able to be a guy, be able to ball out, no matter what kind of defense you're playing. I think that's the next step for this football team. Defensively, more than offensively, guys, we need some players. You know, we need to look down our roster and just not Max Crosby, but have some guys who, when Max Crosby's getting double teamed, that opposite end is going to be able to create havoc. That middle linebacker is going to be the quarterback on the football field. That safety is going to be able to come down and kind of rule the middle of the football field. And you want some cover guys, even the nickel guy. That nickel guy needs to be someone who's very versatile, smart, understand the run principles, and then be able to cover whoever that guy is in the slot to be able to take those third and medium, third and long kind of plays away for our football team. So you got to be a very guy who's very, very athletic.
And you got to be able to cover in this league.
Yes.
Third down and 5 and under, even as an offensive player, you know, it is man to man. Ain't no tricks, ain't no nothing. They about to rush, they about to blitz, whatever, but you know you getting man to man. We got to have some dudes that could get sticky. We got to have some dudes get sticky, whatever coverage we call it.
That's right.
Well, we got to have at least one dude that gets unsticky, and we're going to talk about the wide receivers coming up in the need for
That's
a
me,
number
90
one,
million.
right? We're going to get TJ. Hey, Kirk Morrison, thanks for being here with us, man.
Oh, anytime.
We appreciate you hanging out.
There we go.
We're going to take a break here as we are getting ready for Klint Kubiak to be announced as the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Stick with us.
I think you have to, whenever you have the number one pick, you've got to take the special person. And everybody looks at the quarterback, and that's great. If there's a quarterback, that's outstanding. I think back to my time in Pittsburgh, and Chuck Noll got there in 1969, and his first pick was a guy by the name of Joe Green. And at that time, and I still have the newspapers, it was Joe who, and why did we pick this guy, and why didn't we pick this quarterback, and why didn't we pick this big, well-known guy? You've got to pick that foundational piece, and that to me is what the Raiders have to do. What are we going to build on? Maybe it's a quarterback. If it is, that's great, but whoever it is, it's got to be that guy who sets the table and says, this is what we're all about for the next 10 years.
All right. Good to be here. Unbelievable.
Excited?
All right.
Whoever's the best coach for the Las Vegas Raiders is who we're going to hire. We're looking for someone to build this the right way.
Breaking news from the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders intend to hire Seahawks offensive coordinator Klint Kubiak as their next head coach.
Klint Kubiak's going to the Las Vegas Raiders, and I love the pick. I love the hire.
And Kubiak is very good from an offensive football perspective. He has literally spent every breathing moment of his life in the NFL.
What he's done with this football team, what he's done with Sam Darnold, we're in the offensive era, quarterback whisperer era.
He's going to be inheriting Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers.
Other teams should be a little bit nervous for the puzzle pieces that you guys are putting together.
What does the future look like as a head coach in this league for you? Because it's going to happen.
You guys know I'm going to Las Vegas, so I'm fired up about it.
Hey, well, welcome back. We're here in the team room where in less than an hour or so, we're going to actually get introduced to Raiders' new head coach, Klint Kubiak. He's already entered the building, and when he entered to a full house of employees meeting him, greeting him. Not only were the 3 decks filled with employees that gave him an applause, and the autumn wind was playing on the loudspeaker as he came in, but he had a cavalcade of stars, Hall of Famers, legends that were waiting for him, beyond Mark Davis and John Spytek. I got to look at my phone here to get the list, because it was that impressive. Make sure I don't miss anybody. You had Charles Woodson, Rich Gannon, Jim Plunkett, Marcus Allen, Howie Long, Mike Haynes. You even had a rising star in Ashton Genty waiting there to greet him. And again, not a man of many words, a man of few words, but very impactful words. Kubiak looked at the crowd. He said, I'm looking forward to getting ready for the work. It's going to be a lot of hard work. I'll see you inside. Guys, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Paul. We are live here waiting for the announcement as Klint Kubiak is going to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. We're just moments away from the press conference. We'll turn it over. After that press conference, we are going to have Klint Kubiak here on the set. We'll get a chance to talk to him, along with James Jones, Eric Allen. We also will be hearing from John Spytek. He'll be joining us as well. And I know the number one question James is going to ask him, like, what about the wideouts? What about the wideouts?
Hey, wideouts.
And every time we had an analyst on the set at Super Bowl Talking Raiders, I would ask people from all over the press corps, all over the nation, what do you think the Raiders need? Where would you spend your money? Where would you draft players? And the number one thing they said next to quarterback was either offensive line or number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Number 1 wide receiver.
Right.
Why in the offense that you anticipate Klint Kubiak is going to implement here in Las Vegas, do they really need that Jackson Smith and Jigba kind of person?
Well, I mean, that's what his offense goes through. You know, play action passes to the tight ends and to the number 1 wide receiver. You look at Justin Jefferson, who went crazy. You look at JSN, who went crazy. So getting the number 1 wide receiver in here would be crucial. And you're going to have a young quarterback.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have a young quarterback, you got to have somebody that you can trust to go up and get the ball. Trust that's going to create separation right now, because this game going to move fast for that young quarterback. And if you got a big-time wide receiver to help him out, you're going to need that. So I'm all with it. $90 million, I might
knock the dust off.
No, we'll get a good one.
Yeah, and from a defensive philosophy, like if you have a number 1 guy in the meeting rooms, like you're circling him, right? So now if you don't have a number 1 corner, now you have to take your corner and your safety to be responsible for him. So that's less guys in the box. So now that helps the running game, right? And in those critical red zone situations that I think we really need to do a much better job of is being able to target your guys in the red zone. And to have someone, you know, a couple years ago, Davante Adams in the red zone, he was almost unstoppable. Again, this year he had an incredible year. So you need a number 1 receiver to be able to dictate terms at the line of scrimmage and increasingly in the red zone. I mean, that is huge to be able to get touchdowns opposed to field goals.
And to be honest with you, our number 1 receiver that we are going to get don't got to be like that, because we got a number 1 playmaker. So, like, when you come into the meeting rooms right now, 89 is circled.
Yeah.
So if you get a George Pickens, if you get a Mike Evans, one of these, you're not really going to be circled because 89 is circled, but you're still going to be a big-time part of the offense. So a number 1 receiver coming here, I would love to come here because I know I ain't going to have all the attention on me. Brock is going to have all the attention, and I'm going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. So
I think what we're seeing is a formula in the NFL where teams don't just get away with having a number 1 receiver, and that's it. You have to have either somebody else, like you said, a really great tight end, or a 1A. And I go back to what we saw with the Rams. You guys brought up Davante Adams, but look what having Davante did for Puka Nacua.
Absolutely.
Puka Nacua was all pro. And he was because of Davante Adams. So when you have to account for more than one pass catcher out there, and maybe you add a tight end, so I think even finding a really solid number 2, whether he's on the roster or not, will be determined. I mean, we could have overturned. We do have some players under contract. We have some young players like Jack Besh and Dante Thornton,
and that's where
Trey
I come
Tucker.
back. That's where I come back to personnel, Amber. You know, a lot of this, and we're excited for this coach to come in today, but it's really about the personnel. I mean, when you cross the white lines, The coach can give you all those, pep talks and everything, but we need dudes, man. We need dudes who are going to help each other get better. And Brock is one of those pieces. Ashton is one of those pieces. And we're hoping this number one receiver who comes in, if he's not already on this roster, because you don't know, like the evaluation and the development of this coaching staff can elevate someone on this staff. But if he's not here, then that person is going to come here and make players around him better. So you just can't pencil the guy in and say, we're going to throw the ball to him every time, right? He's the kind of guy who's going to swing coverage and those kind of things.
I believe we have number 2 wide receivers. We got $90 million. You go get you a number
Got to wrap you, James Jones, because right now we are about to hear from Klint Kubiak as he's announced as the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you for attending today's press conference. We'll begin by welcoming some Raiders legends to the dais. First, a 9-time Pro Bowl selection, Super Bowl 18 champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer Mike Haynes. Next, a 2-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowl selection, and the 2002 NFL Most Valuable Player, Rich Gannon. Next, an 8-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl 18 champion, and Pro Football Hall of Famer, Howie Long. Next, a 9-time Pro Bowler, NFL Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year, and a Pro Football Hall of Famer, Charles Woodson. Next, an NFL Rookie of the Year and Most Valuable Player, the Most Valuable Player of Super Bowl 18, the Raiders' all-time leading rusher, and a Pro Football Hall of Famer, Marcus Allen. And next, an NFL Comeback Player of the Year, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and the Most Valuable Player of Super Bowl 15, Jim Plunkett. Now I'd like to introduce Raiders General Manager John Spytek.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming on a special day for this organization. I want to thank all the great Raiders sitting up here with me right now. It's an honor to share this stage with them, and we really appreciate. I know Mark really appreciates, and it really means a lot to him that they made the effort to come here today, and I think this is a unique, it needs to be acknowledged, this is a uniquely Raider thing. I mean, this is what makes this place special. So I appreciate all you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come up here. I want to thank Mark Davis for entrusting me to lead this process to find our next head coach here with the support of Egon, Mike, Tom Brady. I'm really proud of the process that we put in place. We set out to take our time, to be deliberate, to be meticulous, to find the right leader for this organization going forward. We have a uniquely challenging offseason with the first overall pick and new leadership at the head coach, but that's why it was so important to us to find the right man to lead this organization forward. And we interviewed 22, we had 22 interviews, 15 different really quality people that we talked to. They were awesome to talk to. We learned a ton. Bunch of great humans, a bunch of great coaches, but ultimately that led us to Coach Klint Kubiak to be the next leader. We had to be patient. We had to let him go win a Super Bowl, which we were more than willing to do. So we're super proud of him for accomplishing that. And he stood out with his leadership, with his humility, with his work ethic, with his intelligence. We called many people around the league and got glowing reviews on him too. So it made it a difficult but easy decision for us, and I'm really proud to welcome him to Raider Nation as a partner. There's a lot of great things ahead. He can't wait to get to work. We have told him that he is going to go celebrate his Super Bowl tomorrow, so he's going to take a one-day hiatus here and go be in a parade, but he'll be back ready to work Thursday. So with that, I want to thank again the ownership group for entrusting me with this, and I want to welcome Klint Kubiak as our next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
morning, everybody. Really excited to be here. Just want to first off and just want to thank God for the opportunity to sit in front of you guys today. You know, God had a plan for this day that I could never have seen, and I'm just grateful. I want to thank the ownership group. I want to thank Mark. Okay, I want to thank Tom, Egon, Michael. I'm just so grateful for you guys giving me a chance to get to know me better and to give me a chance to come be a part of leading this franchise. I'd like to thank all the players that are here, current and former. It means a lot to me to be surrounded by these great Raiders. And I know that Mr. Davis takes care of his own better than anybody in the league. So, that's evident. That's the reputation that this building has. And that's something that I want to definitely continue to do, is to welcome the old Raiders and, to make sure that our players feel supported by them. I want to make sure that I thank my family. Where are you guys at? All right. Hey, what's up? My wife, Tessa, Sawyer, Lane, Case, William, just very grateful for your support. We've moved a lot, guys, and it means the world to me that you guys have supported me and have stuck with me, and we've got a lot closer through all these trials and tribulations. But like I said first, I think there was a master plan behind all this that none of us could have known. So thank you guys for being here. I want to thank my mom and dad. I want to thank Tessa's mom and dad, Kathy Nelson, and her late father, Bill, who I know is watching up in heaven today, and Tessa's brother, Drew, and all their support. I want to thank John Spytek for giving me this opportunity. I know there's a lot of candidates out there, and I know they went through and did their homework, and just spending time with John, I know how important it is for us to have a really great relationship, and just getting to know him a little bit better. I'm really excited about how we're going to communicate and how we're going to lead this building together. I want to thank the interview panel, Mark Thews and Brian Stark, amongst many others. Thank you for your professionalism and for your hard questions that you gave me. I want to make sure that I thank the Seattle Seahawks, John Snyder and Mike McDonald, all the players and coaches there. This day doesn't happen without me getting a chance to be a part of that culture and all the things I learned from those men. I want to give a special shout out to Ken Walker, the MVP of the Super Bowl, who I didn't see after the game. So K9, if you're watching, man, way to go. Proud of you, brother. Really proud of you and all your teammates. I'm going to go see those guys tomorrow for the parade and then hurry back here and get to work. But guys, I got all these notes prepared, and I've never been really good at that. The main thing is this is no ordinary job. This is the silver and black. This is the Raiders. This is a historic franchise. So, when the opportunity came up to stay in Seattle and continue there, or to have a chance to come here and compete with this organization, it was a no-brainer. I grew up obviously watching a lot of Broncos football. All right, going against the Raiders twice a year, and the grit of this franchise sticks out. When you hear the autumn wind as a Raider, I can hear that in my mind growing up. Watching NFL films and seeing these guys next to me play. Seeing Howie Long and Jim Plunkett. It's pretty powerful to be sitting up here with you guys, and I just want you to know that. Those values that you guys played with, that's what we're going to play with. It's really important to me that that we're a gritty team, that the way that they were back in the old days. And how do we do that? Well, it's our silent tape. It's nothing that we say, it's what we do on the field, and it's what the silent tape speaks about our team, how physical we are, our effort, all the little things that win that have nothing to do with scheme. So really excited to get to work with you players, and excited to go turn your tape on, see what you guys are about right now, and then go see how we can get better together. But to be a head coach in the NFL, it is a real blessing. But to be the head coach of the Raiders, it's something that I'm very excited for. when you say commitment to excellence, okay, and you look at the walls around here, you look at the players on this wall, and there's a history of Hall of Fame players here. There's a history of Super Bowls, and that's what the ultimate goal is. But you have to be about the work if you want to get there. And I guarantee you that myself and our staff, we're going to be about the work, and we're going to be we're going to be very collaborative with the personnel staff, the coaching staff. We're going to work together so that we're a connected group, because connected teams win. There's plenty of other things to say, guys, but this is not a day to go out and cash checks. This is a day to say hello and get to know everybody. I get to know that these, the players that are here, for me to get to know everybody, because guys, I just got done coaching about 2 days ago. So I got a lot to catch up on, but I'm really thankful for John for letting me come in here and have this opportunity. And I just, I can't tell you guys enough how excited I am and how grateful I am and how blessed I feel to be sitting in this room. So, let's get the questions going. All right.
Great. Now we'll open it up for questions. We have microphones in either aisle, so please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation with your question. We'll start with Ryan over here.
Ryan McFadden from ESPN. This question is for Klint. Just could you put into perspective what the past 24 hours or so has been like? That you go from, winning the Super Bowl to now you're here being introduced as the head coach of the Raiders. What has these past 24 hours been like for you?
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. It's been great. The Super Bowl itself, was a 2-week grind to get ready for that game and just pour your heart and soul into that game plan to see our players go out and have that success. And that's why you do it. That's why you coach. That's why you play. That's to go win a world championship. So that was a complete blessing. And to get on the airplane and come meet everybody in this short period of time, it's exciting. But all these things, all these smiles, eventually that kind of wears away, and then you got to go get to work, and that's what I'm excited about doing. Is going to watch some tape and get to know these players better and put together a great coaching staff.
Yeah, and for John, this question for you, John, just like when studying Klint Kubiak, just what about his scheme and how he runs the offense? Why do you think that fits what you're trying to do moving forward for this organization?
Well, I think Klint said it well. It's less about scheme and more about the person. We were very thoughtful about how we approached this and the kind of coach and man that we were looking for to lead this organization on a day-to-day basis. I mean, he talks to the players every day. The players are our most important part of this organization right now. And when we got to speak with him the first time on Zoom, when he was trying to prepare for the 49ers, and then again in Seattle when he was trying to prepare for the Super Bowl, he just was the right person. And the fact that he can score a lot of points is awesome too. But we were more focused on the person, the humility, the work ethic, those traits above scheme.
Klint, Hondo Carpenter on his side right here. You didn't have to come here. Seattle wanted you to stay. Other teams wanted you. So what did ownership and John say to you that convinced you were the guy to bring back the excellence these 6 men represent?
Yeah, I think over 2 separate interviews, I just got very comfortable with John and Mr. Davis and the ownership structure. And it's really they didn't have to say much. This is the Raiders. This is one of the most historic franchises in the NFL with a great history that I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of furthering that history. I think the Raiders really sold itself, but having those 2 different interviews and getting more comfortable with the men in the room went a long way.
Hey, Klint. Obviously, John pointed out that you guys had the first pick overall in the NFL draft. I know it's still relatively early in that process, but what are your thoughts on Fernando Mendoza, and how big did that play into this decision for you?
Well, I think just the resources that the Raiders have, this building, obviously having cap space, having the first pick, those all go into the decision. And as far as who the first pick is going to be, we got a lot of tape to watch before we determine who that's going to be. But I'm excited to get into that process. But yeah, kind of going back to the last two questions, there's just a lot to love about this organization. Look around this building and the resources that we have, our meal room, the weight room, the fields outside, the coaches' offices. I mean, it's as good as it gets in the NFL. Been in a lot of buildings for good reasons and bad reasons. Been hired and fired, and the resources are here. We just got to go put it all together.
Klint, to your right here. Willie Ramirez with the Sporting Tribune. You spoke about what the Raiders said to you to bring you here, but you'll be the 6th coach since they've arrived in Vegas. You look at the looks on these Raider greats, look on their faces, the demeanor and the meaning of this organization. Why are you the right guy to sustain and stay here, being the 6th coach since, again, that they've arrived in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I think earning the trust of the building is a daily process. All right, so that's something that I've always been about. And I love earning people's trust. And I got to earn these guys' trust. It's not just going to happen to me sitting up at a podium. So that's something that's a process. That's a process. And that's a great challenge. Yeah, there have been plenty of other coaches, but why not us? Why not this staff? Why not this group of players? So if you look at it in the lens of, there's a history of some guys that are in and out of here pretty quick. I look at it as, what a great challenge. Like that's what the NFL is all about, is competing. So I'd love to go compete here and go get it done. It's going to be a process, but we're gonna be about the work, like I said. So it's a very exciting opportunity.
Klint, Levi Edwards, Raiders.com. A couple of days ago, you made history with you and your father being the first father-son duo to win the Super Bowl as coaches. So now you're the head coach, and obviously he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. What are some values and things that he instilled in you as a coach and as a man that you feel are going to prepare you for this position?
That's really cool. I don't know, is that a real stat? Is that a real deal? I never heard that one. Because 10 years ago, I was at that game watching him win it all. I was coaching at the University of Kansas, and I got to see the smile on his face after the game, give my mom a hug, and give his mom a hug who had recently passed, and just to share that moment with him is something I know I'll never forget. And then to see him after the game on the same field and just see the smile on his face was a great memory. And as far as the lessons learned, the thing about my dad is that when I was growing up, he never made it about sports or football. He always talked about everything other than that. About being a good person, about being respectful. He showed me what it means to be a great husband and a great father. So those are the things that I want to emulate with him. Football will take care of itself, but the family values is what my dad is all about, and him and my mom. That's what I'm grateful for.
Klint, to your right over here. Jesse Merrick with Silver and Black Sports Network. Kind of along that same lines, I know you joined Mike up there in Seattle in his 2nd season, but that was a guy that came into a new role for the first time as the head coach. What are some of the things that you took away from him about what it takes to build a franchise that you think can help you here?
Well, number one is that he's just himself. Doesn't try to be like anybody else. Didn't try to be like Jim Harbaugh. He was Mike McDonald, and he was very convicted, and we all could feel that from him, and wanted to follow his lead. I also saw him be so collaborative with the building, and how closely he worked with the general manager and the owner, and just how clear the communication was. We were all on the same page. He had a vision, and he was the same guy from April to February, and that's something that I'll definitely take with me.
Hey, Klint. Paul Gutierrez here from Raiders.com. You got the 3 Super Bowl trophies of the franchise in front of you. You got Hall of Famers. You've got MVPs. You got Super Bowl MVPs surrounding you. How daunting or how welcoming is it to be in this situation you're in right now with all of these things surrounding you and with that standard set?
No, it's not daunting at all. It's a blessing. That's what you want to be. That's what I want our players to want to achieve. I want them to see these guys, be surrounded by these guys, because that's what their goals should be. Okay? Win Super Bowls. The MVPs and Hall of Fame, that takes care of itself when the team wins. So that's what we're going to be about, winning.
Klint, in talking to players that you've coached, men of faith and not, you referenced God when you opened. They talked about your faith as part of the bedrock of how you coach and why they felt you were trustworthy. Could you let us in on that and how your faith impacts you as a coach, please?
Yeah, it's very, very simple. You know, for me is that my identity, I see my identity as a child of God. I know that I'm sitting here, right here because of Jesus Christ. And it wasn't always that way. I've had some great mentors that helped me know the Gospels better. And I just, my goal is to, you know, to live out the 10 Commandments and the Beatitudes and let those values show through in my coaching. And I fall short of that a lot, but I always go back to my, you know, back to the, you know, the building blocks, which is to me the Bible.
Kirk Morrison here, former player, Silver and Black Productions. For you, Klint, you've been around some of the great defensive minds in the NFL, whether it's Mike Zimmer, Dennis Allen, obviously Mike McDonald, head coach in Seattle. What do you envision the defensive coordinator looks like for this football team, and how's that process going to play out?
Yeah, I'm in the weeds of it right now, man. So, you know, we're you know, identifying candidates and going to be contacting guys and bringing them in. But I think whoever that coach is, it'll be really important that, you know, we establish a style of play, you know, a physical style of play. And that's offense and defense. So I'm just way more worried about how our guys play than opposed to the X's and O's of it all. You know, that's part of our job as coaches, is to scheme guys and help them be put in the best positions. But I want to make sure that we have a DC that is that's coaching effort first and technique, and, you know, a guy that's going to, you know, rip into somebody if they're not finishing in practice, because that's what helps you win. You know, in February, it's not the X's and O's. They got 17 games of tape on you. It's about how hard you guys play.
Taylor Rocha, KTNV. How do you balance the will to win with the rebuild and player development?
You know, whether you're, you know, whether it's a rebuild, whether you're on a returning roster with Super Bowl aspirations, to me, the work doesn't change. Preparation doesn't change. Every team next year is going to start off undefeated at 0-0. So to me, it doesn't change much. You know, obviously it's what you identify your team needs in the offseason, player acquisition wise, and then once April 15th starts, you know, we're all on the same plane.
Hi, Klint. Heidi Fang, Las Vegas Review-Journal. I've seen your work at Christian McCaffrey as well as Alvin Kamara, and I'm wondering what excites you about working with a player like Ashton Genty and helping to build his future.
Yeah, where you at, Ashton? What's up, dude? You know, man. Very excited about his skill set and what he brings. You know, I got a lot of tape to catch up on, dude, but I saw you play a lot of snaps at Boise. Very excited about his talent, but the thing I would tell him and all his teammates is that it's not just about one guy. We got to get the line on the same page. We got to get our quarterback to get the right run checks. We got to get our receivers to go block for him, all right, so that we can get the play action going. But you know, as soon as our players can realize, you know, that it's a team thing, it's not an individual thing, we're going to be successful. I know we have those type of guys in our building right now.
Harry Ruiz with the Spanish radio broadcast for the team. When you look at Brock Bowers, what's the first thing that comes into mind as being an offensive coordinator from the Super Bowl champs and now wanting to use him the best way possible?
Yeah, where's Brock at? Yeah, I saw him earlier. I mean, Brock's already put it on tape, you know, from Georgia to his first couple of years here in the league. You know, he can be one of the best receivers in the NFL, not just receiving tight ends. So looking forward to working with him and continue to build on his skill set. Really impressive player.
You've been with your dad on the opposite side in the division. Now, what would you want to say to Raider Nation now that they're all on your side? They're all excited to have you in the building wearing silver and black.
Yeah, I'll just tell the Raider Nation that, hey, like I said earlier, we have to earn your trust. You know, we gotta earn those seats in the stands by putting a great product on the field. And words will not do it, it's our actions.
Hi, Coach. Alexibel Castro, Deuce 3. I have to go back to your opening statement where you said your journey has taken you exactly where you're meant to be. Because after being a grad assistant, you worked in the oil industry for a few weeks before you got that call that you never expected. So if you could go back and tell that kid that you were going to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders one day, what do you think he would say?
Yeah, that's what's just so cool about today. You know, there was a path that was set out in front of me that I didn't realize I was heading to. But I knew that, you know, when you're where your feet are every day, you're trying to bloom where planted. You know, you're trying to be the best at your job, and you know, good things tend to happen. So that's kind of been my journey, is just to try to be the best at my job that day. And then, you know, then you get a chance to you get promoted with more tasks. You know, you get to draw the pass pictures. All right, now you did a okay job of that. You get to break down the tape. All right, we'll let you talk to the fourth string quarterback today. All right, you did a good enough job there. All right, we'll let you lead a meeting, and you just keep trying to do the best where you're at, and let the rest, you know, take care of itself.
You've imagined this role for a few weeks now, but yesterday you stepped in the building for the first time, and as head coach, what can you see from the inside that you can't see from the outside? What did you feel?
Yeah, you know, I've been here before. I came here. We practiced against the Niners a few years ago. We saw the the structure here and what this, you know, all the resources that are in this building. So you know, Mr. Davis has set us up to have success there. Now it's about us, you know, going and lifting all those weights, okay, and using that field, and using those meeting rooms, because, you know, everybody's got players, everybody's got resources, and now it's about, you know, finding those edges and seeing, you know, how we can bring our team together, be connected to go produce a winner.
Klint again, Willie Ramirez with the Sporting Tribune. Obviously, Mike knew you had a couple of interviews leading up to the Super Bowl, but in these last 48 hours, has there been a conversation, some special moment, and if you wouldn't mind, the words or the sentiments that were shared in terms of his well wishes for you?
Whose well wishes? Who's that?
Mike.
Coach
yeah,
Mike?
Yeah.
Yes. You know, Mike he's been really supportive of, you know, I can't thank him enough for really everything that he just showed me of how to be a head coach. You know, Mike made my life really hard, you know, and I appreciate that. You know, he challenged us every week as a coaching staff. You know, I thought we had a good game, and on Monday, you know, I hated having to look at him in the eye because I knew all the hard questions were coming. But I really appreciated that about him, because he brought the best out of us. So Mike's been great the entire time, been a great mentor. And just your first question, could you repeat that one?
Just if you don't mind sharing the words or sentiments that he may have shared with you these last 24, 48 hours, in terms of if there were any well wishes or hey, I hate to see you go, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact words, but you know, before every game, you know, Mike, you know, gives me a bro hug and said, "Turn it loose." So that's probably what he said.
Coach Alex Eshelman with KTNV over here. Congratulations. I'm kind of going off of Alex's question about the oil fields company. You mentioned that what brought you back into coaching when you were telling that story was you got a call from a player, and that was kind of the moment that solidified to you that you wanted to become a coach. Along with that, I loved the story about you gifting your players Bibles. Just describe how rewarding it is to you to develop players, and where do you get that passion from?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, the whole oil field story, I probably getting it overblown, because I want my old boss to know, like, I still appreciate the job he let me have. I feel like they're getting raw into the deal here. But, you know, long story short is I was a GA for 3 seasons, and you know, you're trying to make, what's your next move going to be? You got to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And, you know, I was married with Tessa. We didn't have any kids yet. And I just kind of felt like I was letting the family down. I wasn't making any money. And so I wanted to go try something new. Anyway, I was at that, you know, that job for a few weeks, and just quickly realized how much I missed being a part of a team, you know, and the reason that I love to coach is to see players get better and see them have success. You know, you get to work with the best athletes in the world, and to be able to help them get better and help them, you know, realize their goals. You know, that's why you do it. You know, to sit on that field a couple of days ago, you know, in Santa Clara, and being around guys that we've been coaching since April, and just to see the joy on their face, that's why you coach. You know, so relationships are really important in any business, but especially in football. You kind of, when you're in the fire with somebody every day and there's so much adversity, those bonds get so much tighter. And everyone up here knows what that's like. And you don't realize that until you're on a team that doesn't win as much. When you're coaching guys and you win 5 games, but on the last game of the year, you're not going to the playoffs, but those guys are fighting their tail off for you, and you're trying to go knock out Tampa Bay out of the playoffs a couple years ago with the Saints. We didn't get it done, but that's what it's all about, is trying to help people get better.
Coach Chris Matthews with the CBS affiliate here in town. Just kind of wondering, as a new head coach, and the Raiders having the #1 pick in that draft upcoming here, and the speculation is it'll be Fernando Mendoza as a quarterback. Just your thoughts on the #1 pick, the new head coach, the opportunity, Mendoza. Just your thoughts on that whole thing and the player that he is, and I guess speculation a little bit.
What an opportunity! To get to go study this draft, and we'll come to that conclusion here soon enough. There's a lot of work to be done before then, but it's just it's an opportunity to make the roster better. Not only do you have the first overall pick, but you're picking early in all the other rounds too. So looking forward to attacking that process with John and our the scouting department and the coaches working really closely together.
Coach Alan Snell, LVSportsBiz.com. What are your key factors for instilling some stability at the coaching ranks here in Vegas for a franchise that's gone through so many coaches here?
Yeah, well, to me, it's what happens, years in advance is something I'm not thinking about right now. We're trying to put together a great staff of teachers, and we got to get some really good teachers here and coaches, and get us all on the same page and get our players going in the same direction. That communication is really important. I think if we can put together a great staff here, and get our players up to date on these playbooks and the things we expect of them, and then let the results speak for themselves after that. But in the NFL, you have to earn the second game. This league, if you don't take care of business, then you get chewed up and spit out real quick. And every one of us up here has been through that. So I'm going to have to earn the right to coach this whole season, to coach the next season. I got to show Mr. Davis that our program is about the right things, and we're developing these players. So I don't take for granted how long I'm going to be here. I know that I have to earn it every day.
Clint, Zeke Trezevan, Sports Illustrated, right here down the middle on SI. I was curious, did you come with the list in terms of building out your coaching staff, a list of offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, other assistants, and how closely do you plan on working with Mr. Spytek in terms of building out your staff specifically?
Yes, definitely have a list of candidates that we're going through right now, and we're going to be working hand in hand on coaches, on the roster, everything. That's part of us being successful is us working together.
I guess we're going to wrap it up with Case, Q, and Callie.
Hi, Coach. Case Kiefer, Las Vegas Sun. You thanked a lot of the search committee and talked about John and Mark Davis, but we heard some reports that you were kind of kindred football spirits with another person in that process, Tom Brady. I'm wondering, assuming that's true, what is it about the game that you guys see similarly, and how will you lean on him during the season?
Yeah, I'm really excited to work with Tom, and he made the mistake of giving me his cell phone number, so he might wish he never did that, because I'm gonna be calling him a lot. What I'm excited about is that we have different offensive backgrounds, how we're gonna, how we can pull ideas from each other. But obviously he's the greatest that's ever done it. And in the interview process, just the passion that he spoke with on all things football just got me excited about the opportunity to work with him. So, I know, plenty's been said and speculated about, how that relationship's going to go, and that's one of the main draws to come here, is to get to work with him, to get to work with Spy. These are great football minds and if we collaborate the way we're supposed to, then we're going to pull the best out of each other.
And you've mentioned you've already gotten to talk to some players. I was wondering if you've spoken to Max Crosby, and is he a guy you could see anchoring your defense here for years to come?
I did. I got to drink a cup of coffee with Max this morning. Love talking ball with him, and look forward to continuing those conversations. I think he was the first one in here this morning working out, so that fired me up.
Q Myers, Raider Nation Radio 920. Expanding on the Max Crosby conversation, how important is it for him when you talk about silent film and you're talking about finishing in practice and all that grit? How important is it for him to be buy in with you immediately to kind of set the tone in the locker room?
Yeah, we want him to be a part of our success going forward. There's no doubt about that. And he's one of the best players in the NFL. So that's a no-brainer to get to work with Max and to see him continue to have success with this organization.
Callie Finn with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Just wanted to ask if it's safe to assume that you'll continue with the play calling and how you manage to balance play calling duties with everything that comes with being a head coach.
Yeah, I do, but I hope you guys know I've never called a game by myself. That's something we do as a coaching staff together. We plan together, we communicate on game day together. Quarterback coach, pass game coordinator, run game coordinator. That is a group effort. So I plan on continuing to collaborate with our coaches and making everybody a part of the game planning process. Whoever sends it into the QB and it says wristband 13. I think anybody can do that, but it's it's us, how we communicate on game day will be really important. What was the second part of your question?
I think you touched on it, just how you can balance that with everything that comes with being a head coach.
Yeah, well, it's yet to be seen. There's going to be some learning there, but I'm really confident in, the staff that we're going to put together, and I'm gonna need some tough love from Spy to give me some good feedback on what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. Have a really good game management plan, and make sure we have those meetings throughout the week so that things don't surprise us on Sunday.
And then just a similar balance question. Mike McDonald, I think, surprised a lot of people when he said a good day is getting home 30 minutes before his son goes to sleep. I'm wondering, your kids are here. How do you approach that work-life balance with your family and now this really big job?
Yeah, well, I would say that that's an area that I got to get a lot better at. I got to get a lot better at. So, my family is the most important thing in my life, and see them sitting here right now in Raiders shirts, it's a great feeling. Really thankful for my wife for getting everybody here. You guys are missing school today, so. But. That's the hard part of this job, is that work-life balance that I'm still working on getting better at.
All right, thank you, everyone. That concludes our press conference.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
And there it is, Klint Kubiak, now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders officially. Raider Nation, you guys are out here to show your support. It's great to see you guys as well. And this is a long time coming to have somebody they're very excited about, somebody that is fresh off a Super Bowl win. And the one thing that struck me about Klint Kubiak is it just seems like a humbled and focused man, a man of faith. Which does help in this business. We all know that. There's a lot of times you wonder, why is this happening? You got to get yourself out of it. But he seems like he has a process that he is trusting, and he's putting that into finding his coaching staff right now. And I think that's the biggest step, because if you're a great head coach, he was a great offensive coordinator. If you don't have a great defensive coordinator, great special teams, I mean, from top to bottom, you've really got to choose wisely. You guys have been inside organizations as players. How much difference does it make to have not only great coordinators, but position coaches, those key positions within the organization as coaches?
Everyone has to be in line. It's methodical. And as you see, and as he speaks about the place he's been and the relationships he's had, those things are critically important for the coaching staff, those relationships, to all be on the same page. We've been around situations where coaches haven't been on the same page, and we've seen, the results of those things, and they're not very good. So I think the one thing, and most important, I think, is to make sure that your message is right, singular, and everyone is in the same mindset, be methodical about it, and never be able to just put yourself in a square box. Always be the person who's able to change and adapt according to the situation. I think those things are critically important to be successful in the NFL.
I think a head coach is a lot like being a mama. You being a mom, you like you handle 95% of stuff, right?
You don't have to tell me
So
twice.
if it's some times where you like, dang, he only need 50% of my help,
Yeah.
and he handling all that, I can just focus on this. If he brings in a good staff to where he just has to focus on the offense and focus on getting that side of the ball better, and I don't got to be putting my finger or hands on a bunch of different stuff because I trust those guys to do their job, that is going to help him, especially as being a first-time head coach. I think he needs to put in a staff that even maybe have some veteran guys over there too that can lead that way over there. Like, we got this. You focus on that. We're going to make sure this side of the ball is good. So that's going to be huge to see what kind of staff he puts together.
One thing I love seeing is all of the former Raiders, Charles Woodson, you had Howie Long up there, a lot of gold jackets up there,
Great
including
airport.
Eric Allen right here with us. It seems like Klint Kubiak, just being a guy that grew up in the NFL with his father, he understands what the Raiders brand is.
Yes, he does.
What it means to be a Raider, what it means to wear or coach the silver and black, and to understand the legacy of this organization. And I kept saying this at Super Bowl. The league is better when certain teams are prominent, and the Raiders are one of them.
Yes.
You've got the Cowboys, the Packers, the
Steelers,
Raiders, the Steelers.
yes.
The Raiders, when they are winning, it is better for the NFL, and I think that he grasped that, and I think that probably came up in his interview.
Right.
That really, he knew that Otto went as a Raider. Not everybody knows that, right? You
That's
grew up
right.
as a Bronco or whatever. You don't
Right.
know that. He really understood this organization, and I think understanding Raider Nation, the legacy, what it means to this fan base is really going to help him integrate into this organization.
I think so too. You have to be original in who you are. Obviously, he's going to be him, a man of faith, but to have that kind of look back at the legacy of all those great players, and it's awesome to see how many guys came to support him and being able to understand, like, hey, this is the silver and black, and we got to get it right.
Well, you can recruit. You guys both came and played here from other teams.
Right.
You wanted to wear the silver and black.
Yeah.
That is a point of recruitment. And I know John Spytek uses that. We've seen a lot of players recently just say, hey, man, I just always wanted to play for the Raiders. That's going to get talent here when they know they have a good coach. We got money in free agency.
And the facilities, the stadium.
Facilities he spoke about, the support of Mark Davis, how bad Mark Davis wants to win and will support winning. I think this is a great position for him to walk into, and he knows that.
And he just came from that big-time game.
Oh, yeah.
Sit down. Listen to what I got to say.
Yeah.
Because I just came from that big-time game. I know what it takes to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who picked the Seattle Seahawks to be in the Super Bowl this year? Not nobody.
Nobody.
And they was in that game, and they won it. So I know what it takes to get there. I absolutely love what he said when he said, listen, man, all that talk, it's about the silent work.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And that right there, as a team, listen, man, we ain't got a whole lot to say. We finna work in silence, and y'all finna see this product we put on this football field, and that's big time.
Why do I feel like Klint Kubiak is not interested in a parade tomorrow? He just does not
He
seem
like-
like a guy
he like,
that's
I'm ready to
gonna-
go to work.
So
In
yeah,
the
he
building.
wants to be
He
here,
wants to
and
be
you
in the
could tell
building.
that. You could tell that for sure. We are going to have a bunch of guests coming up here.
Yes.
We're not only going to talk to the new coach, Klint Kubiak. We have John Spytek, Howie Long, a bunch of former Raider greats, and John Spytek. Here he is right now, walking up. Raider Nation, your general manager, John Spytek, coming up now in his second year. It's good to see you, John. How are you? Welcome back to the
Good to see you guys.
Nice
You doing all
to see
good?
you again.
Here we go. I got you.
Fist bump. There we go. Wow, John, you could tell your sense of pride when you were sitting up there introducing Klint Kubiak. And it just felt like there was a confidence when you introduced them that you knew this was the right guy. When did you know? At what point during the interview process? Because I imagine it was a little hectic with him coaching and the Super Bowl, but you just knew we have to be patient. We have to get this guy.
Yeah, we had a great first interview with him. I was actually in a hotel in Atlanta because I was on my way to the Peach Bowl, and that's when we had time with him. Was on that Friday before the same day as the Peach Bowl, and we kind of left afterwards, and we always intended to be patient and almost like boring with the process in like a good way, not bad boring, but good boring, and we thought like that's a guy we should make time with again, and you just don't know how it's going to go because they keep winning and you keep waiting. And we had a bunch of other really, really good interviews. I mean, we had a great list. I had great help from Brian Stark and Mark Thews and Brandon Hunt that helped me put together the list. And the more we did it, we were impressed with so many different people. But Klint just kept winning, and so we just kind of promised each other from the start we would keep waiting. And so we reminded ourselves, let's keep waiting. And eventually we had a chance to fly up to Seattle the day before they left to go to Santa Clara and sit with him in person.
Give us some of the main criteria you were looking for, that people in the building were looking for out of a head coach.
Well, we were looking for a leader of men, and what's required to be that. I don't. They asked me in there about the scheme. I don't think it's required to have a great scheme to be a great leader of men. I think it's the ability to show up every day and be consistent and work, and let the players and the people in the building, everybody in the building, feel your work ethic and your commitment to this organization, and integrity and a humility that I don't have all the answers, but also like a growth mindset of I'm going to continue to grow, and a self-confidence that, I'll figure it out. Klint really impressed us with that. He didn't have all the answers, but he confidently said, I'll figure it out. You can trust me to figure it out. And someone that went through this your first year, you cannot anticipate everything that's going to come across your plate and how you're going to react. But if you have a self-confidence and a belief that you'll figure it out, I think that can take you a long way.
Did you guys have a plan going into it to where it was going to be an offensive coach or a defensive coach, or you knew once you guys let Pete go that we were going the offensive side of the bar? Were you just going into this thing open-minded, whichever coach you kind of felt like was that guy to lead this organization?
Yeah, we were totally open-minded. We talked to 15 different men from both sides, offense and defensive side of the ball, and we were impressed with both. And again, I think it's in this league, it's tough because offensive coordinators, everyone's searching for the next great offensive coordinator. And I think you have to be careful too in that space to not just anoint the next great one thinking that he's going to be a great head coach. And again, we were just looking for the best leader we could find. And you love the opportunity to potentially pair him up with a young quarterback. I think that does make a lot of sense, but that wasn't necessarily our intended goal from the start.
And just a reminder that the two coaches in the Super Bowl were defensive-minded head coaches, so I think a lot of people do fall into that offensive-minded, but it seems like you got the right offensive-minded head coach. You talk about potentially working with a young quarterback, you said. That's not automatic that it's Fernando Mendoza.
It is not.
It's not automatic, and I've been dying to ask you this question because when you think about it, as you said, it's not a shoo-in that you have to take a quarterback number one. It's not a shoo-in that you have to hold on to the number one pick because there's a lot of needs on this roster from top to bottom. There is the opportunity to trade down and get a haul and fill a lot of those roster spots. Maybe go get a veteran quarterback. There's Mac Jones out there. There's Daniel Jones coming off an injury. There's things you can do. Next year's supposed to be a big quarterback year. How much do you balance and work with Klint Kubiak with that philosophy? Because that's a tough choice to make as a GM.
Yeah, he's going to be a great partner in it, and we're going to trust each other through it, and we're going to talk through all of it, and we're not going to begin with the end in mind. We're going to go through our entire process. This isn't like a collecting of talent job or field. It's build a great football team. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. We saw Seattle just build a fantastic defense, but still sign a really good, high-priced quarterback in free agency and make it work. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And so Klint and I are just going to sit together once he gets back from this parade tomorrow and devise our plan for the best way to build the Raiders. And we'll go forward with that in mind.
Defensively, what kind of style, what kind of person are you looking for to lead the defense next year?
Well, he said it in there, gritty, tough, physical, violent is a word we like to use. We want our tape to speak, I think, for ourselves and kind of precede us. And more importantly, that's going to be the mentality of our organization. Yeah. This is the Raiders. You need to feel us. It needs to be different. We want you to wake up on Monday morning and be like, that sucked. The best way to do it is defense.
Yeah.
And, I got a chance to be around some great quarterbacks in my time. Either they were playing or I was working with them, and they all talked about what a terrible week it was when they had to play a guy with a defense with Eric Allen out there or Charles Woodson, and you just knew it was going to be a slugfest. And so we're looking for someone to lead us in that space.
Yeah.
Well, me and EA and Amber were sitting up here, and we, heard the $90 million to spend. I started stretching.
I said he's got one go route left.
Just in case.
100, actually.
100, even better, just in case you need a red zone target. I'm there. But, with that much money to spend, I know you guys have probably talked about it, being aggressive in free agency. What's kind of the mindset getting ready for free agency with $100 million to spend?
Yeah, and I would say intelligently aggressive. have a good plan, not get carried away. There's a lot of emotions that creep into those markets, and you budget 15 for a guy, and then what's another 1, 2, now it's 20, and then you do that a couple more times, and you just go, well, there go a couple more players. And so, we're going to sit and figure out what this team needs in order to take the next step from a player standpoint, and what makes sense in Klint's vision and my vision, and pair those two up, and we're going to attack it full on. And we're sitting in kind of a position of strength in the market, but we want to be smart with that too. I don't want to wake up in 26 and 20 or 27 and 28 and kind of regret some of the deals we did, knowing that emotion got too involved in that.
And that's a smart way to approach it. John Spytek,
All right,
congratulations on your new head coach. We're looking forward to the new era of Raiders football. Thanks for being
Thanks
here
all
with
for
us.
having me. It's always good to see y'all.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and you know what? I mean, to have Marcus Allen follow you, that's not a bad. That's not a bad guy. Would you have drafted Marcus Allen? Do you think you would have gone that route back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yes.
Been easy.
100%. Thanks a lot.
He's an
John
hard act to
Spytek,
follow.
thanks so much. Raider Nation, give it up for John Spytek. We appreciate him
Thanks,
stopping
John.
by. And the stars just keep coming. Marcus Allen, the first, well, the second Hall of Famer on the set. Next year, San Diego brother.
Yes. That is a 619 in the building.
619.
Oh, it is.
Right. Now, Marcus did have a bone to pick with you. I know when you were growing up, you went and went to another, kind of private high school. I heard.
Up in the neighborhood.
He left the neighborhood. He went bust out to another school. Had you stayed, could you imagine having Marcus Allen and Eric Allen on the same high school team? But hey, they're on the same Hall of Fame team now.
That's right. There you go.
And Marcus, I got to ask you about what we just saw in the Super Bowl with Kenneth Walker III, a running back, was the MVP. We have Ashton Jeanty here with the Raiders. Kenneth Walker had a great game by himself, but he didn't get there by himself. He had Charbonnet the whole season. If you're John Spytek, do you bring in a number 2 punch to go along with Ashton Jeanty and follow that same blueprint that we saw Klint Kubiak use in the Super Bowl?
You said if I'm John Spytek?
Yeah, so you got to bring in another.
Ask me if I'm
Ashton
Jeanty, and I would say no.
Well, maybe Kenneth Walker had those kind of wheels in the Super Bowl because he didn't have to carry it all.
Well, I don't know. The ball's not very heavy.
It's not heavy?
No.
But those linebackers and safeties are the hit you.
Maybe a couple of years from now, perhaps, but I think only in the second year. I think I'd like to be the featured back. We want to touch the ball. We want to get into the groove of the game and stuff. And I think you do that by getting as many touches as possible, not sharing them right away. So it works for some. I don't think any really great running back likes to platoon. It works, obviously. I think if you do it enough and you have the right personalities in there and stuff. But if you were to ask any great running back, they don't want to share the ball with anybody.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit, Marcus, about personnel-wise. When your football teams walked into the building, talk to us about the dominance you felt and the personnel you had when you were with these great Raider teams.
Well, we knew we were going to win the game.
That's what a good team does.
And no matter how much, if we didn't play well and we got down, we knew that we were going to come back and win. It didn't always happen that way, but that was our attitude. What we had was, Eric, was a bunch of veterans, right? And we policed each other during practice and game day.
Right.
We were on each other and stuff, and we had a standard. Tom Flores was amazing because he treated us like men.
Yeah.
And he knew exactly what, buttons to push. He was I don't think I've ever, in 11 years, ever heard Tom, get out of character or say anything, but he was always cool, but he knew exactly what to say to us. But we also knew that Sunday was the most important day.
Yeah.
And we all came together, common cause, and that was to win. And so I think leadership, we had so many leaders on the field. When you think about Lester Hayes, when you think about Mike Haynes, when you think about Rod Martin, when you think about Ted Hendricks and Howie and Matt Millen, those are all alpha leaders, you know what I mean?
Right.
That is what we had and stuff. And then on offense, we had that as well. When you have a Plunkett and you have a Todd Christensen and a Cliff Branch, and I thought I was a pretty decent leader too back there. So we had people, and that's what really. I mean, I love coaching, right? but players play the game.
That's right.
And yes, they draw up things, and we're supposed to execute them, and hopefully we do, but sometimes they don't. But I think you got to find a way to win, something deep down inside, and he talked about it. You got to find a grit. You got to be a gritty team, and you can't accept no. You can't accept defeat. Matter of fact, failure is not an option. That's what the mindset should be, and you really got to love what you do. We love playing. We love competing, and we had a reputation that we were going to come in and and kick some butt. And that's when we came into town, and everybody gave us our best shot as a result of that. And I'd love for us to get back to that.
Yeah.
And I think we do it with some continuity. It's hard to have 5 different coaches and 5 different different offenses and 5
Personnel,
different personnel, 5 different philosophies and stuff like that. And hopefully, I think the measure of success would, us sitting here with the same coach for 10 years.
Yeah.
That would be success.
Yeah.
With the same quarterback.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, well, you mentioned you guys expected to win. I would expect to win too, because there was a lot of gold jackets you mentioned on that roster. So I would expect to walk into the building no matter where we play.
You know what? There should be a couple of more.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's say you are Klint Kubiak and you are the head coach. Where do you start with this roster? From seeing this roster, from knowing that there's a lot of holes in this roster, where would you start to get back to that, to getting off the bus and expecting to win? Because like you said, it's a players' league, and the players is going to have to win them games. Y'all had a lot of good players. Where do you start?
Well, if you look back at the Raiders teams that were successful, there's a common denominator. You have all these skilled players, but the lines were very good.
Yep.
You had Upshaw and Shell, right? You had Dave Dalby, who was there for 12 years, 15, whatever amount of years he was. He was a center. Mickey Marvin and Henry Lawrence. We were good at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So I've always believed in building the team from the inside out.
Love it.
You have to do it. We get all the credit, but nothing happens successfully unless you have the guys up front.
Right.
And that's both offensively and defensively. You look at the last team that won the Super Bowl. We had a great offensive line. Look at our defensive line.
Yeah.
We Howie, Reggie Kinlaw, Lawa Zato, we were monsters, right? And then we had the front 7 too. The linebackers, in addition to obviously the secondary.
Yeah, one of the best ever.
Rod Martin, we had Ted Hendricks, Matt Millen, Dave Nelson. We had linebackers. And then the secondary, obviously we know it speaks for itself.
Right.
But everything starts up front. If you have guys, and as good as Eric is, and he's great, he knows that he can't cover all day long.
Right.
So a pass rush and coverage works in combination. They work together. Yeah. And I looked at Ashton last year, and I complimented him. I said, "Listen, I'm very proud of you, based on the fact that you just did not show your frustration." I would have gone crazy.
Did you talk to him often?
No, I was.
Did you talk to him often?
We text a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, they're going crazy.
I would have gone crazy getting hit in the backfield that often, but he showed his, composure. He showed his resilience, and then look at his numbers based on everything that he had. I think it was a very successful year. It didn't appear to be, but his numbers show otherwise. So.
What does Marcus Allen text Ashton Genty? Like, do you wait till after the game? Do you wait till what kind of things like, hey, great run? Like, what do you text him? Look good, buddy.
Okay, just one example. I think he. I remember early on, I think he wanted to establish himself, right? And he hit somebody right down the middle in his helmet, and I said,
look who's speaking of Hall of Famers.
There you go.
There you go.
What's up, Doc?
We gotta get another chair. Where's another chair?
He can have mine.
You can have mine. I'll host from the side. There you go. Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer. Sit down. Marcus, you need to get me a chair.
We got to go to the airport.
Oh, you guys got a flight ticket?
You want to hurry up.
Taking all day.
You want to hurry up.
I know. I'm the one that said we got to go.
All kind of stories.
My God.
Going back to that question real quick, I told him, don't. I said, pick a shoulder. Don't ever go down the middle of a defender. Mm-hmm. Nah, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
James Jones being a gentleman. I told him to sit down.
He tried to take out somebody.
Oh, he did.
Like, yeah.
Very
he wanted
nice
to make a point.
I think you remember that.
He wanted to make a point.
Big hit too. He wanted to make a point.
Yeah.
And I said, pick a shoulder. I said, never go down right the middle of a defender. That's all I told him.
That's what you told him?
We're talking personnel.
He says you're right.
We're talking personnel, guys.
He says you're right.
How you feel when you come on the football field. Marcus, of course, had all those great Hall of Famers he played with. He said every Sunday he woke up, he knew he was going to win the football game. Talk a little bit about your experience with personnel, how you felt coming on the football field.
Yeah, I would say even if the team wasn't expected to be very good, I still expected to win ball games because I always felt like just from what I could do on the football field, I could give something to the team that was going to help us win. So it didn't matter who was on the team. But I remember, like, when I first got here, there's a process. My first couple of years were 8-8.
Yeah.
But you start bringing in some guys. William Thomas came in, and a few other guys.
Jerry came in.
Charlie Garner came in.
Yeah.
So you start getting these pieces added to the team, and then it starts to bring that confidence because you see that level of athleticism, that hard work that we saw Jerry, finishing every route and running to the end zone. You're like, well, dang,
bro,
Jerry, what are you doing?
You're in year 44, bro.
You 83 years old. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So when we bring those talented players in here and you start to build that culture, man, that's when it really, really amps up.
When you look around, especially building a secondary with Eric Allen, I mean, would you start with the $90 million that the Raiders have in free agency and go get a talent that's proven, or would you really focus on building it through the draft, especially knowing there's such young talent on this team? First, second-year players are the future.
In the secondary?
Secondary.
Oh, man, yeah, it's got to be somebody that's worth it. Like, I'm not just throwing money out there at any corner. My thing is, first of all, we got to make sure the quarterback position is right and the offensive line is right. I'm from the school of, I played under John Gruden, and he was always trying to make sure that offensive line and the defensive line was right.
That's what Marcus.
So, I can find a corner that could, cover for a short period of time, but not a long time.
That makes sense, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You need an all-pro to cover for a long time. You need a pretty good one.
Exactly.
And an all-pro defensive end.
Exactly.
And you'd rather go with that.
We got to keep the one defensive end that we have and make sure that he's happy and healthy and ready to go. So that's most important.
So you build around Max Crosby. You don't.
Max, I've been telling everybody, like, I ain't making no decisions here. But Max ain't going nowhere.
That's just
my sentiment. I hope he don't get mad at me. And like, Charles, don't be talking for me. I'm sorry. But Max is my guy. I love Max, man, and he's a Raider, man. So I want him to be happy here, and I want him to win here.
So if
hey, Charles, I'm sorry, Charles. That's a really good question, though.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at how many great corners there are in the league, and then we see if they have a great defensive end or a great pass rush. They're even better. Absolutely.
Well, if you look at who wins Super Bowls, if you look at the defensive line from this past year, if you look at Philadelphia's defensive line last year,
great point.
How many DBs are you talking about? Now, 2 days ago, Witherspoon, because he was so disruptive, blitzing, right? You know his name, but everybody else, you don't really know about him.
Yeah.
But Marcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams, like, you know that because they're the guys that truly impact the game.
Absolutely.
Now, the secondary guys, not taking nothing away from them, but you're going to win that Super Bowl if them four or five guys that rotate up front are
able to get after the
See, Woods got me spending all my $90 million on defensive linemen. Maybe one offensive lineman. Hey, I'm being yelled at in my ear. You guys do have a flight. So thank you so much, Hall of Famer.
Love you, man.
Charles
My work here is done. I got Marcus out of here.
Marcus Allen. Good to see you. Thanks for being here, Marcus. I'll see you soon. All right, we're going to take a break here. And when we come back, much more to come. Klint Kubiak still to join the set here at the Raiders.
Look, I think it was a tough situation all around, right? But I think in a better offensive environment where there's more of a vertical threat and there's more of a threat of the passing game, Bowers being healthy all year will help open up running lanes as well. So I think Gentry's a very talented player. There's a reason why he was picked as high as he was, and expecting a bounce back year next year.
So thank you guys.
What's up, Raider Nation? Follow along as I shoot player warm-ups. Today, I'm shooting on Sony's Alpha 1 bodies with a 28-70mm f2 lens. Warm-ups are a great chance for us to get up close and personal with the players since we're not restricted to the sidelines like we are during game. And the zoom on this lens gives me a lot of flexibility to experiment with different compositions, while the shallow depth of field creates that dramatic separation with my subject in the background. Pair that with the Alpha 1's 50 megapixel sensor and I'm always guaranteed a high quality image. And that's it for today. Thanks for following along, Raider Nation, and see you all from the sidelines.
Klint Kubiak has the ability, perhaps, maybe there's something there that changes the ship for the Raiders.
He's one of those guys that works hard, that's going to demand everybody be at their best. He's, first guy in, last guy out type of coach.
What Klint's been able to do, they're dialed up. They're not, here's our offense. We're going to run it no matter what you think. I can put you in positions where I catch you off guard, and I think that's what Klint's been able to do in Seattle. I think he's going to make whoever the Raiders quarterback is very comfortable and be efficient.
To be able to have a coach who can take a quarterback like that and see his strengths, put him in the best possible position, Klint Kubiak was the difference there.
Just chose the Raiders, wanted to be here. I think everyone knows what it would be like if the Raiders got back to where everybody wants them to be. But this is where he wanted to be.
Welcome back. We're here at the Raiders facility, and look who is here to talk about the new head coach, Hall of Famer, Howie Long. Howie.
Man, great to see you, my man.
Good to see you.
Welcome,
All the Raiders
welcome.
royalty. Great to see you, Howie. All the Raiders royalty is here to welcome in Klint Kubiak, who was just announced as the next coach of the Raiders.
Just so y'all know, Howie ain't shake my hand. It ain't like he dissed me. We just
shook
talking.
hands.
Already shook hands. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, we shook hands. Yeah, we didn't see. Hey, I'll tell you one thing.
Is that the thickest wide receiver you've ever seen?
Not
I'll tell
yet.
you what.
Looks built like a running back or safety.
What are you weighing, man?
I'm up there, Howie. I'm up
I
there.
tell you,
Who's not good?
Take a guess. I take a guess. I give you an answer. What you think?
220.
250.
How much?
250.
Yes. He's linebacker mode right now.
He said, what,
Yes.
250?
He carries it great, but he's linebacker mode right now.
I'm 260.
It's his favorite. It's his favorite
He
meal.
said she said he likes cupcakes.
He does. And
How
don't-
old are you?
42.
You better get it down.
Get it down. We cannot look like Howie
You know
Long.
what I'm
I
saying?
mean, years after retirement.
66 is coming quick.
Man, I love it.
260 on me quick.
Well, we just had Marcus Allen, Charles Woodson up here, and we were asking their opinions on where you start to build this roster. And I was asking about investing in a corner. You know, I thought they all get excited. Focus completely on the defensive line. And based on what we just saw from Seattle dominate the Patriots' offensive line, if you were building this roster going forward, where would you start? There's a lot of money. There's $90 million John Spytek has. He has the #1 overall pick. And not only that, a lot of top picks in other rounds, you know, top of the second, top of the third.
Yeah.
Where would you begin to build? I know you're biased.
Where'd they build in Green Bay? What was the single biggest acquisition they made? The two were the quarterback and guy named Reggie White.
Yeah.
Talked him into coming up there from Philly. Philly,
Yes,
same thing.
Exactly.
Your defensive front was great. Your offensive line was great.
Right.
I think when we were successful here, you know, a gazillion years ago, black and white TV, you know, it was the defensive front and for sure, and it was the corners. And you know what? I think pressure equals coverage. I've always been a believer in that. And if you don't have to dedicate more than 4 to get there, you're really and it's kind of where Seattle is.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and the second level. The thing that I looked at is the second level players for Seattle. They look like pass rushers when they came.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be a blitzer as a corner or a safety.
True.
But to know what you're doing, you know, they've got. I'm jabbing. I'm swinging. It's like, whoa.
And that's interesting because those are those versatile second-level players.
A hybrid guy. Yes, it's like the kid in Baltimore.
Exactly. You can bring them in. They can play the nickel. They can play the slot. They can cover if you want to. But it was just awesome to see a defense having the ability to be able to get a smaller guy and put him into that dynamic in the box.
In a short span of time.
Right.
John Snyder, I think, is one of the best in the business, obviously. He's a Ron Wolf disciple. I don't know if you knew that.
You know, Ron's my guy.
He goes way
John.
back with Ron Wolf. I mean, his first evaluation that Ron gave him, it's a pretty funny story. He just, because he wanted to see if he would be truthful and honest, he said, evaluate this guy. And he basically came back and said, you know, undisciplined, he's out of shape, he's this, he's that, he's that. And Ron looked at him and he said, oh, did I do the wrong thing? He said, no, you were honest. That's what I wanted to hear. And, you know, Ron knew what Brett was, you know, I mean, stole him from Atlanta. And that could change an organization. You know, Darnold goes up to Seattle and in 2 years, they blow up their wide receiver room. You think about how far they came in 1 year. And what's it going to take here? I mean, you know, listen, you need a lot of players. Players make, you know, championships and coaching staffs and discipline and culture and the things that he talked about, work and accountability and, you know, him being uncomfortable walking in the building on Monday, worried about what he did or didn't do as an offensive coordinator, you know, and having to deal with questions he's going to get from the head coach. I didn't sleep well on a Sunday night. If I got hooked once or gave Brown once, you're always self-evaluating, and I think you want players like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Marcus, fight you over a game of backgammon. You know, those are the guys you want. Oh, my guy.
So if you're the GM right now, the Raiders,
you're gonna ask me about the quarterback.
I keep hearing trenches. Do you trade it and go trenches, or do you take a quarterback that you think can help? I
think he has to. I think one of the problems here this year was the offense week to week. Is it the Seattle offense? Is it the Chip Kelly offense? Which offense is it?
CLA, Ohio State.
And when the left tackle goes down, the ripple effect was obvious. And where are you playing? The right guard? Is he the center? Is the center the right guard?
Yeah.
There didn't seem to be a consensus or a plan or a week to week. I think guys want to know this is who we are, and let's do it. This is who we are. And I think in Seattle, it's a great example. You know, I'm a big believer, and I think, listen, this is not a new formula. You build inside out.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that. And, you know, as a wide receiver, the opportunities, I think, start to multiply when that safety goes from here to here. That opens up the wide receivers, that opens up the tight ends. And when you bring a guy in like, you know, Shaheed from New Orleans, and he knew who he was because he had him the year before. He's a guy, it's like Cliff Branch. You say Cliff Branch. Who scares you to death when they break the huddle on first down?
Open that field up a little bit for you.
Open the field up. Helps, you know, guys like Freddie Blitnikoff, Dave Casper, all guys like that. And guys will tell you. And I think that's that threat, that dynamic speed threat. And if you can run the football, you can throw the football. And you could do exactly what you want. You could do it on first down, second down, third down. And I think Seattle's transformation over 2 years when they took a slot receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba was a slot receiver.
He was.
They blew the wide receiver room up.
Let DK Metcalf go. That's tough.
Right.
That's a player.
Those are big, tough decisions. And I remember talking to John Snyder, and I said, when did you know it was time? Because, you know, they had their run, and, you know, they were great teams. We covered a lot of those teams. They were great teams. You guys played up there, you know, in Seattle. Great games. He said it was in 23. They went to Baltimore, and that defense beat the brakes off them. And it was a young guy coaching the defense. And not just with the scheme, or it was the mindset, it was the gap integrity, the coverage integrity. They were doing things that they didn't know.
Anticipating.
They didn't doing things that they didn't know how to handle. And it was then he said, if I'm going to get back to this game, meaning the NFC Championship game, we need to make a change. And he made the change, and he brings in Mike Macdonald. And, you know, Mike Macdonald is not a guy, you've seen him in interviews, he's a football guy. This guy's a football guy. I played against his dad. The family has a great presence in football. If I'm going to hire somebody schematically, it's going to be somebody in that McVay, Shanahan, you know, Green Bay. It's Holmgren. It's that kind of offense that is dictating terms. Now the defense, what he's doing on defense is special.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's complex.
Personnel to be able to do it. I love the
pre-snap,
anticipation, post-snap, the mug looks.
And we're in sub-packages, what, 70?
More than that now.
75% of the time, right?
Exactly.
Except for, a visionary, McVay. He's got injuries at wide receiver. What does he do? He's got a talented tight end room. He says, you know what? I'm going to go 13 personnel. I'm going to go 3 tight ends. I'm going to have one wide receiver. One wide receiver on the field. And what he found out when he did that, it was an experimental week because they were down a wide receiver. I can do this, and I can force you to put big packages on the field.
Which not a lot of teams have anymore because they're so 11 personnel.
Don't, and they can't cover.
That's a good point. Tell me a little bit about what personnel-wise, what would the legend Al Davis, you have any stories about his philosophy on the personnel?
You know, it's interesting because I look at this facility and I think about this, the one we have.
It's a little different.
I'm talking 1981 Oakland. You know,
not even 2020 Oakland.
No, it wasn't a high school.
No,
it was a dump. It was really the practice facility was a dump. We didn't have a weight room. We didn't have a cafeteria. You made your own coffee. I mean, it was nothing. There were bifolds, you know, those kind of those little things between meeting rooms. So if a fight broke out in one meeting room, the linebackers could look and see who's fighting.
But I feel like that was your identity as a team. Your facility was kind of your identity as a team.
No, the identity of the team was, and this comes from Al, bigger, stronger, faster. And I don't want to have to make them bigger, stronger, and faster. I want them coming in
Yeah.
bigger, stronger, faster, at corner, at wide receiver, at defensive end, at defensive tackle, at offensive tackle. Listen, I came in my rookie year, and the first pit drill I did, pit drills 2 bags down, it's 5 yards wide, it's, it's one-on-one, and it's a running back. It's our shell. I just got done playing Delaware. I'm at Villanova. We have a great debate team, but beyond that, not a lot. So I'm a big believer in bigger, stronger, faster. If my offensive line and if my defensive line can whip you up front, and I don't have to dedicate a 5th rusher, or if I want to, I'll drop a defensive end like Lawrence and make the additions that they made. Listen, we have cap space. We have high draft picks in each round. If you're smart about it, and Spytek comes from a great background, Tampa Bay is one of the better run facilities, teams, I think, in football in terms of personnel. And it's key. It's personnel, it's culture, it's coaching. It's every day I'm chasing the Holy Grail. You're chasing perfection, and perfection's unattainable.
Right.
Howie Long, we wish we could talk to you forever,
All
but
day.
there's some guy named Rich Gannon is trying to get on the set.
Yeah, Rich said, get him out, pull him.
MVP.
Hey, go to the bullpen.
He's the MVP.
Go to the bullpen.
The MVP's bumping the Hall of Famer. What's happening? This
Appreciate
is
you,
Raiders
Howie,
greatness.
man. Love you,
Howie
man.
Long, thank you so much for being here. And you look great, man. You look like you could still play. We appreciate you being here, Howie Long.
All right.
And now there he is, the MVP. What a handoff.
My quarterback,
What a
quarterback right there.
The MVP. Good to see you, Rich. How are you?
I'm
Good to
still
see
trying
you.
to figure out how he only got me by 10 pounds. I got to do right. I got to do better.
I've been trying to.
You guys got a good.
He's 250.
You guys got a good. You guys got a good little gig going today. You guys
it's awesome, man.
just rolled them in one by one.
Some guests, that's for sure.
I got to tell you real quickly.
Out with us.
I sat down this morning at that table with Mike Haynes, with Howie Long, with Marcus Allen, with Charles Woodson, and Jim Plunkett, and you just sit around, you think to yourself, like, I mean, just to sit here for 45 minutes and then hear stories. And Marcus telling stories about Matuzak and like Lyle Alzado and him being a rookie and like guys fighting during practice. I'm like, really?
Not many franchises.
That's unbelievable.
Franchises can go back and have the depth of players that are icons and, Hall of Famers. Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm noticing it's a theme here. Howie came up and he was talking about the linebackers fighting, and they would look over in the Coliseum and see. And you're talking about guys fighting in practice. You've been inside a Raiders organization that has won.
Yeah.
What happens inside the organization? What is the mentality? We're hearing about that grit and that competitiveness with the fights during practice. What really is it that you notice on a day-to-day basis inside a facility that makes a winner?
I think every building's different. Every team's different. Every year you have to recreate it. Like, the one thing I'll say is today in the National Football League, all 32 teams are starting from scratch, right? Even the team that just won the Super Bowl, they've got to go back. In fact, they're a month behind everybody else.
Yeah.
So we've got a new football coach. I think what's interesting when you listen to Klint Kubiak speak, he's like, he's got to learn the personnel. He's got to learn the building. He's got to learn the players. He's got to put together a staff. There's a lot of work that has to be done. But at some point, I think all the good coaches do is hand the leadership of the team back over to the players, back over to guys like this. And I think what has to happen in this building is we have to develop leaders in every room. So, like,
each position.
You got Max Crosby, great. So you got one in the defensive line room. Do we have one in the wide receiver room or the tight end room or the offensive line room? And in a great team, you have a couple in that room. You have a Eric Allen and Charles Woodson in the room, or other great Rod Woodson, and you start having players, and so what happens is players start, they start to be the disciplinarians. They start running the program. They start demanding excellence. They start demanding that guys show up on time. They start making sure guys, and that to me is where the team really starts to take off. And I'm just, if you look around our league, Chicago, Jacksonville, New England, all examples of teams that were really poor in 2024 and were playoff teams in 2025. It doesn't take long to get this thing heading back in the right direction.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm glad we got a quarterback on the set, because everybody's been saying trenches, build it inside out, build it inside out. As a quarterback, because y'all make the most money in the National Football League, would that be your approach, or would you go get a big-time quarterback, draft a kid in the first round, or maybe trade for somebody or somebody in free agent, or would you build this thing inside out?
James, you know, in places that you've been, like, you know, even going back to like in Green Bay, like you guys had good line play on both sides of the ball. And I think, to me, like when I was here, like Steve Wisniewski and like Lincoln Kennedy and like Barry Sims developed him to be a really good player, and like Mo Collins, and we had a lot of high round picks, and we had some big physical guys that could move people off the ball and protect. And like, you know, sure, would you like to have Tim Brown and Jerry Rice? Yeah, but that you know, let's get the offensive line straight now. We got a good young back that had a really bad experience as a rookie because every time he got the ball, he was getting hit in the backfield. We got to get better up front. I think that's where it starts. Obviously, you have to have the quarterback position. Look, I'll just throw out a number. 45 head coaches have been fired in the last 6 years. Almost all of them.
Didn't have a quarterback.
Almost all of them are getting fired for the same reason. They don't have the trigger. They don't have the quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback in this business, you're better off selling life insurance. It's a bad business to be involved. I'm just telling you, like, you're going to get fired. And I think, you know, we've got to develop that position. We've got to be able to identify who the player is. And then once we identify, everyone says, you know, Fernando Mendoza. I mean, okay, but when we get him in the building, can we develop him?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to throw him out there probably before he's ready, if in fact it's him. But do we have a good offensive line? Can we run the ball? Are we better at wide receiver? We got to get better there.
Yeah.
We've got some good young tight ends. And, you know, can we help them? And can we bring them along the right way? Or, you know, and that, to me, that's a big part of the process.
What do you think? I mean, you evaluate talent. Would you take Fernando Mendoza right now?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, and I agree with Klint. Like, there's a lot of film to still watch. You know, I think when you look at his body work, I interviewed him at the Super Bowl. He's got a lot of the qualities you love at that position. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's physical, he's athletic. He can create and manufacture some offense on his own. I think he's accurate. I think his arm talent's going to get better, but like, there's still a lot of work to do. I think there's a lot of RPOs, that some of the half field reads, some of those things, but. There's no question in my mind he can come in and pick up a system of football and be pretty competitive right away. But I don't make those decisions, thank goodness, you know. But I'm excited for him. I think he's going to be a really good pro, and I think he's got a lot of those qualities and intangibles that you like at that position.
Rich, you were obviously on a couple teams before you came to the Raiders and was an MVP and those kind of things. What was the difference from team to team? Because you were always you. You always had athleticism. You processed well. How were you able to make that next step in your career once you got to the Raiders?
Yeah, I think everybody's journey is different. Like, there's very few quarterbacks that can come into the NFL and be Dan Marino. Like, the minute they get there, they're like, you know, they're playing at a Hall of Fame level. Even Peyton Manning's first year, he went 3-13, threw more interceptions and touchdowns. Now, it didn't take him long to figure it out, but he went through some growing pains. For me, I came from a small program like Delaware. We ran a very unique offense. I wasn't ready for the pro game. I went to Minnesota. I got a chance to watch behind two veteran quarterbacks and finally got a chance to play, then got traded and got hurt and went to Kansas City for 4 years and played on some really good teams. Yeah. I mean, you know, we were 13-3 twice, and that's really when my career began to take off. And it really wasn't until Al Davis and John Gruden took a flyer on a guy like me. And I think believed in me, and I think that's really so important at that position. You have to have somebody like this. Sam Darnold, it's a great example. 4 years in the Jets, they kicked him to the curb. No, he's no good. Carolina, 2 years, no good. You know what I mean? He goes to San Francisco for a year and watches, and he goes to Minnesota last year, and he wins 13 games. We can find somebody better. Move him along. Now all of a sudden he wins a Super Bowl. Somebody, this Klint Kubiak and Mike McDonald, believed in him and gave him the opportunity and put their arm around him and said, hey, we're going to ride together. And that's what John Gruden said to me. When I came here for my visit, John Gruden sat me down and said, we're either going to do this together and succeed or we're going to fail, but we're going to do it together.
Giving you the keys to the car is important for a quarterback, to not be looking over your shoulder, wondering, like, am I trying out every start?
Yeah, but somebody who believes in me and who's going to ride with me through the good and the bad. I know. And when you have that type of relationship, the last thing you want to do, Amber, is let him down.
Yeah.
I never. It pained me to get on the bus after the game and get on the plane to walk past the seats where he sat and see him and see the disappointment and the frustration on his face, knowing that maybe I didn't play well enough and I let him down. See, I never wanted to do. It was hard to walk past guys like Eric. You know, I didn't want to do that. I felt a responsibility to my teammates and to the owner to, you know, you're paying me. I'm a professional. I need to play at a certain level. But it's even more than that. It was personal because I knew someone cared enough about me to give me the chance and worked so hard to put me in a position to succeed. It's like letting your dad down. You didn't want to do that.
And speaking of that, because you talked about your journey, you know, starting with the Vikings, you just talked about Sam Darnold's journey. Do you think it's smart to draft a young quarterback and let him sit and watch around a veteran? Would you love the Raiders to bring in a veteran, draft Mendoza, and let him sit and kind of learn? Because a lot of these quarterbacks that we're watching now, the Aaron Rodgers, the Jordan Loves, you know, the Patty Mahomes, all these dudes sat behind somebody and then turned into very good pros.
I think that's the ideal situation. I mean, you know, I know you with Aaron was not happy sitting for 3 years, but as it turned out, it was a pretty good deal for him, you know, and I think nobody that comes from the college game is ready to play right away. There's nobody. It's just there's so much of a learning curve. And so if you can go somewhere and have a veteran quarterback and get a chance to play and get your feet wet, and then eventually, I think what happens is here's a staggering number, and it's shocking. In the last 5 years, the first overall pick in the draft, which has been a quarterback, either during his first season or after the first season, they fired the coach. Now think about how dysfunctional that is. So you fire the coach, and now the next season you come back, you got a new system to learn. And what happens is you play him before he's ready, and he struggles, and then he loses confidence. You know what I mean? So you got to be smart about how you develop that quarterback, how you bring him along, because you can ruin him. I mean, you know, there's quarterbacks that were, you know, even Sam Darnold got ruined. He was tough enough mentally and physically to hang in there and just keep coming to work. And, you know, for 6 years, everyone told him you're no good. Think about it. But now the other day, he's holding the Vince Lombardi trophy.
That's tough.
Speaks volumes about that guy's toughness.
Drake May was one of the quarterbacks that lost his coach after the first year and then goes to the Super Bowl in the second. He came in, and I'm sure Mike Vrabel said, I'm rolling with you, the way you said. A philosophy, though, and I asked John Spytek about this, is that yes, you have to be in love with Fernando Mendoza if you're going to take him, but this Raiders team has so many holes and so many spots to fill. Would it be smarter? Is it kind of chicken and egg? Do you trade that pick maybe and fill the roster with a ton of talent? You build a team in a smart way, and then you can bring in these second-year quarterbacks going to the Super Bowl. I mean, you're going to have Mac Jones, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold was this year. You bring in somebody like that that's available, and then next year there's supposed to be a little bit more talent at quarterback in the draft. But is it tough to, you know, is your philosophy go get your quarterback, or is your philosophy, no, let's build and make a good situation for a quarterback to come into?
So there's not a lot of good free agent quarterbacks just floating around. I mean, they're really, really good teams with, you know, but there are a couple guys that will hit the market this year. The question is do you really want to pay them $40 million or $50 million and you're not quite sure what you're getting? Or do you want to use that rookie salary cap that can be beneficial as you're trying to reboot the program? I think it really boils down to this, Amber. If you're absolutely convinced that Fernando Mendoza is a can't-miss prospect, you know, like a Peyton Manning or an Andrew Luck, or, you know, one of these guys that's going to come in and be a really good player for a long time, then you got to pull the trigger. If there's any indecision about, you know what, we're looking at 3 quarterbacks, we're not sure which one's the best, then maybe you'd have that conversation. But if you're convinced that this is the best quarterback in the draft, this guy has all the qualities and intangibles we want at that position in terms of toughness and leadership. People ask me, what do you look for? Is it arm talent? Yeah, all those things are important. But you know what? If he's not physically, mentally tough, and you know, he doesn't have great leadership skills, and football's not the most important thing to him, like, maybe we're heading down the wrong path. Maybe he's not a good fit for what we're looking for with the Raiders. But to me, that's a decision you make. If you're absolutely convinced that this is a guy that we can build a team around for a long time, let's pull the trigger.
And from a financial standpoint, every single team that is stable for multiple years has their quarterback on a rookie contract. It allows you to fill out the roster.
Absolutely.
It's a smart way to go. Rich Gannon, thanks so
you're the
much
best.
for being here with us.
You do a great job. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Coming up next, it is the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, Klint Kubiak, sits down on the set. Raider Nation, here to welcome him.
It's game day. The day we've been waiting for. And this is more than just a game. It's a passion, a lifestyle. It's time to suit up, Raider Nation. This is Raiders football, where we all bleed silver and black. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Here at the Raider Image, you're part of our team. Every hat, every piece of gear, let your loyalty show out. Whether you're in the stands or cheering from home, we've got your back. Feel the confidence. Own the game.
We
are the Raider Image. Your game, your gear. Exclusively at the Raider Image.
He's going to put in all the work and all the research that he possibly can. I mean, I've talked to him a lot. I mean, he will, one thing is he will trust like other opinions of a lot of other people. So it isn't just like, this is the way I see it and it's the way it's going to be. I think he does a great job of gathering all the information and then interpreting it in his own way. I think that's a really good positive because a lot of people are just like, some owners, some GMs, it's like, this is my way, I know it, or there's the highway. I don't think Tom's that way. I think it's big for him in terms of the coach. I'm almost encouraged that it's someone fresh and someone new because of the whole recycled thing has been done a lot. So maybe if that does come true, maybe it works out well. And then of course the quarterback. I mean, if you're sitting up there for Mendoza, I mean, that's not too hard. So he's not going to have a tough decision in that one. But I hope Mendoza becomes a great player.
Whoever's the best coach for the Las Vegas Raiders is who we're going to hire. We're looking for someone to build this the right way.
Breaking news from the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders intend to hire Seahawks offensive coordinator Klint Kubiak as their next head coach.
Klint Kubiak's going to the Las Vegas Raiders, and I love the pick. I love the hire.
And Kubiak is very good from an offensive football perspective. He has literally spent every breathing moment of his life in the NFL.
What he's done with this football team, what he's done with Sam Darnold, we're in the offensive era, quarterback whisperer era.
He's going to be inheriting Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers.
Other teams should be a little bit nervous for the puzzle pieces that you guys are putting together.
What does the future look like as a head coach in this league for you? Because it's going to happen.
You guys know I'm going to Las Vegas, so I'm fired up about it. Hey, thanks for being here, guys. Look forward to getting to work, all right? A lot of work to do, okay? But we're about to work. All right, see ya. See you in there.
What a day it has been at the Intermountain Health Performance Center as Klint Kubiak has been announced officially as the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. And Coach, it's a pleasure to meet you. Amber Theo-Harris, nice to meet you. Wow. I mean, the whole family gets brought in and escorted in, and then all of the organization there to greet you. What were your thoughts when you walked in to the Raiders facility?
That was special. You know, we try to keep our kids out of the spotlight these last couple years, and done a good job of it. And I totally failed them today. You know,
Hey, they deserve to see.
I felt very welcomed.
Yeah, they deserve to see this moment where their father became a head coach in the NFL, and just coming from such NFL pedigree, your father being around the game for so long, 12 years as a coach in the NFL. What were you most proud of when you actually put your name on the dotted line to say, I'm going to be the coach of the Raiders?
Yeah, I was just excited for the opportunity. You know, it's a historic franchise. This is the Raiders. You know, this is the silver and black. This is a big deal. You know, so really important that we get some really talented coaches in here to go lead these men, because I'm not doing it by myself. We got to do it together, and really excited for that challenge.
Yeah. Coach, what was the interview process like, being able to split time with the interview process and kind of wanting to put your best foot forward, and then knowing that you have to prepare for a couple more games?
Yeah, you know, it wasn't hard because we were in the playoffs. You know, like, to me, your resume is on tape. You know, so you got to kind of gather your thoughts, know what you want to say. Those are things that I kind of thought about maybe the summer before, and then it doesn't really matter what you say, it's what you do, right? So putting a good product on the field was the most important thing to me.
You just said, look at my tape for the resume. Like I know I can lead a team, but here's what we're doing in the playoffs right now. And it was awesome. Go ahead, JJ.
You see what I'm doing. Check it out.
You see what I'm doing.
Really quick, man, congratulations, man. But how does Super Bowl champion feel, man? The confetti was just falling. I know you ain't been able to kind of really enjoy it, embrace it. Well, how you feeling, man? Congrats.
Yeah, no, it was a really special season. So happy for Sam Darnold and all the adversity that he overcame. I mentioned in my press conference, but K9, the MVP, he's a guy that just got better as the season went and really played his best football in the Super Bowl especially, but just a really special team that Mike McDonald built. Obviously I'll be able to go back there 40 years from now, go to the reunion with the Super Bowl ring. That's very special.
Yep.
I know this is the second time I've heard you bring up Kenneth Walker, and obviously the performance in the Super Bowl was pretty amazing. But, of course, Raider Nation hears that, and we go, well, hey, we got a guy named Ashton Jeanty that's pretty good that we think has a lot of upside just in his second year. Is it easy to assume that because you focus so much on the run game, that Ashton Jeanty is going to be a major focus of whatever this offense develops into?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would be easy to assume no matter what team he's on. He's a special talent. So look forward to working with him. And, any success that he's going to have is because we have, we're on the same page as an offense. We give him we give him a great offensive line. We give him, a great quarterback to get in and out of the checks he needs to get into, receivers that are going to block. So,
talking my language.
He's a tremendous athlete.
Yeah.
You can see that coming out of the draft last year, but his success will come with team success.
All right. You played DB in college, right?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
DB connection.
That's right.
I just thought we was here. You talked all that offense going.
That's right. That's
You were giving wide receiver vibes.
So, when you see the game, what lens do you see it? Do you see it from a defensive back perspective, or have you been able to change that lens?
Yeah, I think I'll always see it that way. See it from the back end. When you're, in the pass game wise, when you're thinking about what's going to give them problems, that's kind of where I would start putting myself in that situation. Now that's playing Mountain West football as opposed to these.
It's okay.
These defenses that we see in the NFL is a whole different league. But I've always, felt like I had it from a defensive perspective.
All right.
Yeah.
So when you're going through the interview process, because you were able to go back to Seattle. You did a hell of a job. You're able to go back to Seattle. So when you're going through the interview process as a head coach, you usually look at the roster, I'm assuming, and you say, okay, these are some of the guys that I'm excited to work with. When you looked at this roster and where you were interviewing, did you say, hey, a lot of similarities to this roster, especially offensively, is kind of some of the same stuff we do in Seattle?
Yeah, it's easy to turn the tape on and see Brock and see Jeanty, and I know Colton got hurt, but you see some talented guys up front, offensive line wise. It's a very talented roster, and everybody's got talented players. The main thing I just see is the opportunity to be here in Vegas for the Raiders, and we're going to have some capital to go get some players. We're going to have high draft picks, and it'll be really important that we hit on those guys and we develop them.
You bring up Brock Bowers. There's also another tight end on this team that was a second-round draft pick, and Michael Mayer as well. And when you look at what you did with Seattle, you guys didn't use 12 personnel a ton, but when you did, you were one of the most successful in the league, according to PFF. Do you see Brock and Michael Mayer as two guys that you really could feature in 12 personnel?
Yeah, we got to get our best 5 eligibles on the field. So whether that's 12, 11, 22, I love it. It's important to mix it up. Obviously, those are two really talented tight ends. Excited to work with them, and I think no matter what personnel we're in, just go back to who are our best players, how do we get them the ball, how do we put them in the best position to be successful.
Relationship-wise with the coaching staff, I've heard a lot about the Seattle group of coaches, player personnel people, Saints. Everywhere you've been, it seems like you guys create like a really cool bond as far as coach is concerned. Where does that come from, and do you think that's going to be important for this organization?
Yeah, the best teams are connected. You have each other's back, and that comes from many hours in meeting rooms together. Try not to separate as much. We like to meet together a lot, so we're all on the same page, so that we can all we can get praised and corrected together in front of everybody. So I think that's really important, and because it just makes you a little bit more of a cohesive unit.
What's something from this season, because you guys obviously won it all, what's something from this season that you can, like, come in here and bring from the Seattle building that you guys kind of did this year that you're going to bring in to this building?
Yeah, to me, Mike McDonald, he had a really connected team. He did a great job of bringing, offense and defense together, special teams coaches and defensive coaches together. He really wanted us to get to know each other at a level I've never been a part of, as far as, like, we're taking time out of our install meetings to go in small groups and get to know each other better. So I think that was a huge part of our success and great vision by Mike.
Klint, I know you try to keep your kids out of the spotlight, but they might be point guards or shooting guards in the NBA because Baron Davis is playing with them right behind us. I don't want to give you parenting advice. I don't know if that's the best person to have with them right now, but they're going to have a heck of a jumper, a little bounce, as we call it, in the NBA if they keep playing with them. Have you had a chance to meet Baron yet, or any of that? Well, your kids know him, and
no, I have not.
There you go.
They out there having a good old time. I love it.
Baron's a dad, so he's working out there with you. Tell me a little bit about Fernando Mendoza. I know, as we talked to John Spytek, it's not a guarantee that you take the best quarterback just because you have the #1 pick. There's a lot of things you could do with that pick. But just your observations as an offensive-minded coach, even though you were a defensive back when you played, and watching what you saw in the national championship in Indiana.
Yeah, my exposure is very limited. I saw him play the national championship game. I saw the interviews he's given after those games and how team-oriented he is. But I look forward to getting to know the player better. But obviously, a really talented guy with a bright future, and we'll see where he ends up. But we got a lot of work to do to get to know him before that time comes.
Yeah. You've been such an incredible guy as far as being able to develop and mentor quarterbacks, different office coordinators. What are some of those things from all those programs you've been a part of that you're able to bring to the quarterback position?
Yeah, I think just a really detailed way of going about our business with our quarterbacks and setting expectations early, harping on progressions. Harping on footwork, harping on fundamentals, progressions, footwork, and fundamentals. If we can be great at those things, then we have the foundation to go out and be successful on Sunday.
They say y'all got $100 million in free agency.
Uh-oh, here I knew it was going to come, Coach. Get ready.
Like it's his money. Like he's got it in his bank account. He's just going to go spend it where he wants to spend it. He wants you to spend 50 of it on a #1 receiver because a receiver wants to give a little love to the wideouts.
No,
go ahead, JJ.
He wants to be in the program.
He actually wants you to spend some on him. He's been stretching and working out.
Get my question out. If you need me. Red zone only, man. You know what I mean? I'm ready to go, man. No, but we're happy to have you, man. Congrats, man. You go enjoy that parade tomorrow, man. Celebrate, because I know that's a heck of an accomplishment, man.
Yes,
but
congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome to Raider Nation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right, Klint Kubiak, head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, coming up next, we're going to take a break. Speaking of NBA superstars, thank you, Coach. It is Baron Davis. I guess he's now the wide receivers coach of Klint Kubiak's kids. We're going to talk to him next.
Oh, we can't let that happen.
We just have the head coach.
It's game day. The day we've been waiting for. And this is more than just a game. It's a passion, a lifestyle. It's time to suit up, Raider Nation. This is Raiders football, where we all bleed silver and black. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Here at the Raider Image, you're part of our team. Every hat, every piece of gear. Let your loyalty show out. Whether you're in the stands or cheering from home, we've got your back. Feel the confidence, own the game.
We
are the Raider Image. Your game, your gear. Exclusively at the Raider Image.
It's a blessing. It's really exciting. Exciting day for my family, and just soaking it all in right now. I got a lot of work to do.
just so good to have this type of support for us, knowing that someone's there, you know, bigger in the industry to come out and watch us and be there for us.
Hold on. Wait. Bringing Klint Kubiak as a head coach, somebody that if I told you back in December, hey, the Raiders are going to end up with Klint Kubiak, most people would have said that was the premier hire of this cycle. Like, he was the coveted name.
Klint Kubiak is one of the bright young minds of the NFL. Not a fiery type, but certainly has that edge, certainly can lead.
I think Klint Kubiak is the guy.
He's been a guy they always say he's a silent killer. He's all ball, like no nonsense. He is all ball.
Coach who's been around a team that has a good defense and understands there's a lot of things that go into winning, not just me being a genius.
When you have a offensive-minded coach and you have someone who can take this talent and really put it together, like, I think that the turnaround could be in the near future for the Raiders.
It's up to Klint Kubiak to come in and truly set a new path.
Day here at the Intermountain Health Performance Center, as Klint Kubiak was just announced about an hour ago now, as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. But we're joined now by, you're getting ready for NBA All-Star Weekend, right? Baron Davis. Ooh. Now with the Silver and Black. He's the host of Talk of the Nation. And we loved having you on our team last year on the Silver and Black Productions. It was fun to do Super Bowl with you. But have you had a chance to meet Klint Kubiak just yet?
I just met him.
Okay.
I was throwing the football to his kids.
Yeah, we saw that.
You know, that's the best way to get,
you gotta get
in with the coach.
Yeah.
I'm more about the kids. You know, let the coach deal with the players and the media.
Amber was just talking that was a great opportunity for them to kind of understand the throwing mechanics and the footwork, and then you're making yourself open. So I just thought, Amber was right on the money.
How's their jump shot?
That's a little JJ, you know? That's a little JJ. Saving the quarterback. Come on.
That's it. Got to make them look good.
Did you show him the Baltimore bounce, though? Did you show him that little crossover?
No, I haven't shown.
Not yet?
I haven't brought out any tools or
Don't,
weapons.
Hold on. Don't let her put the Baltimore on you. You're from Cali.
No, but he knows about the Baltimore bounce.
Oh, okay.
The crossover. I brought the Baltimore crossover to LA.
There you go. You got to stick with me. Stick with me, JJ.
So they didn't know what to do with it.
Stick with me, JJ.
So I'm trying to figure out, how did they let an NBA All-Star basketball player into the building?
Man.
How you get up in here? What you do?
I don't know. It was easy. It was easy. Listen,
that's all Marcus.
It was easy. Shout out to Marcus. But it was when I walked in, he was just like, man, what you doing here? I was like, I'm here, man.
I'm a Cali guy, man. Grew up like in the Raiders.
It's Raider Nation,
The fan base just goes everywhere, right?
It's deep-rooted, man.
It is. Yeah.
But Baron, you're an example, though, of, we say that one way to recruit to Las Vegas is people just want to wear the silver and black. Young athletes grow up wanting to be a part of this brand, and you, after your NBA career, wanted to be a part of this brand. Like, take us through that mentality.
I came with my kids on a tour, and everywhere I stopped, I was like, are you hiring? Are you hiring? Production room. Are you hiring? Media and PR. Are you hiring? I mean, when you talk about, the Raiders, it's a lifestyle. And growing up, like, you just absorb that mentality.
Yeah.
The fabric, and then for me, like, Raiders gear you can wear 365.
That's
It's fresh. It's not like Denver or the Chargers.
No.
Dallas Cowboys.
No.
You can't wear that every day.
Right.
This is what you can. And
That is true.
Being a part of this legacy and is a dream come true for
How
me.
has last year and being the first time really showed you some things about the fan base, about what they're willing to go through in a year that was down the last couple of years?
Yeah, I would say I sit in the middle of a fan and like a fan of the people in media. And so, the loyalty is like, I mean, it's people are so diehard. They're so passionate. They're so patient. They're so impatient, right? It's just a whirlwind of emotions. And being able to do Raiders Talk of the Nation, it was incredible because I got to find the true Raider fans, the celebrity Raider fans, the Raider players, and just get an opportunity to, look behind the veil of who you are. Who do you want to be when you grow up? Who did you want to be when you grow up? And just kind of like personalize, people's stories, make people human. So, I'm happy to be here because I feel like as a fan, those are the things that I want to know. I want to get personal, and I want to know little things about, our team.
Now, being in the building, is there something that you kind of like found a new respect for, like the football players, or like, like learn something like, dang, I didn't know they watched this much film, or dang, I didn't know it took all this stuff to run one play. Is there something that sticks out to you like, dang, I didn't know football players was doing it like that?
The studying part, lots of film, and how they break up in different groups and study. So like study groups.
Yeah.
Like
because you don't do that.
You don't have that.
Oh.
Gotcha.
No.
The one time we did it, we beat the Mavericks. I took all the guards.
You started a position group?
We had to.
Yeah.
We had to. We had no
we're
choice.
We're going to take the backcourt, and
so
we're
I
going to
took
meet.
the backcourt, me, Monte, Runis, Jessica Cabbages. But it was like we would talk about what did we need from the guards to dominate? Can we combine for 15 assists between the four of us, right? And so you see that in football, and you realize that even the guy that's not playing is very helpful to the guy that's playing. The veteran guy is so important for the locker room, for that film room, because they have the experience. Basketball, that veteran dude wants to play. So he'll tell you some messed up stuff.
No, he won't. Come on, B. Come on, B.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Hey, that happens every now and then. Come on. Them veterans don't want to get cut. That is not the right round.
That's so messed up.
Then they tell you, I bet you won't do that. They'll just be sitting there,
Baron, I don't know if you know, you're sitting up here with a couple of hoopers.
Man.
I mean, we're one short of a starting five. The problem is we have all guards.
That's okay.
We're going to need some big men.
It worked in the NBA.
I think we were all guards, right?
This is the thing, though. I'm 250.
Power forward.
I'm
35
Power
now.
forward.
I'm way stronger than some of them skinny centers.
That's
so
right.
I'm gonna push them out the paint.
Yeah, you can be our
I
Draymond.
take you over
You can be the Draymond,
I'm gonna push them out the paint. You just ain't gonna get no easy dunks.
We're going to let Amber
JJ
run
and
the
Wendy
point.
going at it.
I'm going to run the point.
you run the
I'm going to run the point. But
You do the shoot.
my granddad used to say they're a lot shorter when you take their knees out.
That's
You
it.
got to back
That's
up
it,
into
man.
them.
Get 'em
Back
going.
up into
Get 'em going.
them. Baron, you're now in the football world, and you've been a football analyst. I was with you all at Super Bowl. What was the number one thing you took away that you think this Raiders team needs to do to be competitive in 2026?
I would say you got to have a solid foundation. So before you can build anything, like the concrete got to be laid. And it got to be laid and cemented and dried. And so you have to have a solid foundation. And I think, we talked about this all last year. We were so close to winning 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
The difference in a good team and a bad team is a good team will win. A bad team knows how to lose. And so if you watch our season, 30 plays, and we would not have the number 1 pick, right? We'd have a much better record. And so the way I look at it is setting that foundation, getting the camaraderie, getting the mentality right and the heart right. Then, the coaching staff will be able to kind of mold the players the way they want to go. But we have great pieces. We have great talent. We have guys who want to be Raiders, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. I think it comes down to, obviously, coaching is so important and critical. Evaluation. We have the combine coming up in 2 weeks. So all those people upstairs, as far as evaluation, I mean, this is their season right now, right? So then their season will go to start practicing. But it's personnel. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's baseball, basketball, football. Personnel is really where it happens, right? You see the Seattle Seahawks and how they were able to draft some players, add some players. Are there any similarities you think that the Seahawks or the Patriots have had this last year that we can bring into this year?
Yeah, you look at the Patriots. They did theirs in free agency. They went out, spent a bunch of money, took 2 of our guys. a few of our guys. But, you know, you look at the coach, and he found the guys who fit his personality.
Yes.
And the style that they wanted to play. You look at Seattle, and, you know, how many years? Is it the second year for McDonald?
Yeah, second year.
So you look at the first year to this year, it's like a big leap forward. But they were able to draft into a core.
Yeah.
So I think with the Raiders, we have a good combination of money and draft potential.
Yeah.
Let alone a lot of second, third, fourth year guys that are really talented. So I think just crystallizing those guys and getting them right will be great.
And we got to hit on those picks.
Yeah.
All the teams that weren't good last year that made it into the playoffs this year. Let's start with the Bears. They hit on their first-round pick, then they tight end and Colston Loveland.
Yeah.
You know, you hit on the young receiver, Burton, out of Missouri. You brought in some offensive line out of free agency, and you drafted offensive line. You hit on those players. You look at the Seattle Seahawks. They brought in DeMarcus Lawrence. They hit on him. You brought in Sam Darnold. You hit on him. You drafted a bunch of these young players that you hit on. So we just got to hit on some of these players, and if you hit on some of these players, it could be an instant turnaround.
I tell you what, you got to hit on the number one pick.
Yes.
Exactly what you do. And that is the biggest question going forward is Klint Kubiak is now the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. So the era of John Spytek and Kubiak has now begun. For Baron Davis, for Eric Allen, James Jones, I'm Amber Theo Harris, Raider Nation. So much to be excited about. We will see you in free agency.